we changed any hearts and
Hey, we'll see tonight if we'll see tonight if we can get us a little we can get some unison and maybe get some people to work across the aisles, no matter what you call yourself, and see if we can go ahead and get that. And that's gonna be the goal for tonight. You know, even though people you stay whatever ideology you feel suits you, but let's see if we can get some people to work across the aisle and come and do some stuff that normally maybe they wouldn't. So that's the goal for tonight. We want to hear people again express themselves, but let's see if we can go ahead and get some people, whether you whatever hashtag or whatever lineage or whatever heritage or whatever political status you claim. We just gonna see if we can try to get some people maybe to meet halfway and work with each other if possible. So yeah, sister, we had to come back one more time. Volvo, I saw you. I sent you the I requested. I had you do the speaker thing, but it must have knocked you back down to listener. So go ahead and request it again, Volvo, and we'll bring you up here to speak. So yeah, Queen B, we wanted to go ahead, and I had told DJ that Saturday, like, with DJ, we need to go ahead and make a part two to the actual to the first Twitter space we had about this here as well too. So, we had quite a few people that came out and everybody spoke and gave their opinion on everything. So we're hoping that we can get people to come out again tonight and participate and do it in do it in an educational, informative type way as well. Shout out to you, Diane. I see you over there on YouTube as well, too. So shout out to you, Tony. I see you up in the space. Fanny, Volvo. I know you guys, some of y'all may have missed the first Twitter space. So, that recording is out there. If you want to check it out, go ahead and listen to it. But it was one of, it may have been the longest Twitter space we've ever done. It was the first ever Friday night Twitter space. And it was the longest because that space was over 5 hours long. So we ain't gonna go over 5 hours long tonight. I can tell everybody that tonight. So we don't have to worry about that. But we're gonna try to be try to have form some opinions and just go ahead and, like I said, we can try to work across the aisle and get things going and get it back into the positive direction as much as possible. We're gonna try to do that because I know everybody is dead set on what they want to label themselves and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I know a lot of our people feel like if you go and you say that you this or that or whatever, it's gonna hurt the reparations claim as well too. So my main thing is that, hey, if we can't get anybody to come across the aisle and work together, then let's go ahead and be as just go ahead and form our own think tanks and still push that agenda as much as possible. So DJ, I know you was up, you had your space, and you was in Black Majority space, and you said crash, and you end up co-host, and you end up opening your own. I came up in that space early this morning. I looked again, man, like 6 o'clock. Y'all still was in that space.
But I was asleep since 6 o'clock this morning, so I ain't really hear much of it. Shout out to baby sister, shout out to brother Marco for holding it down. I gotta replay my own damn space. You feel me?
Nah, I feel you on that. Like I say, Volvo too, man. If you want to come up here and talk, just go ahead and request the mic. And that was a good space. It was an informative space. Unfortunately, we had some stuff. People talk about some personal issues that came out later on in the space. Really got kind of blindsided by that. But tonight, we're not trying to get to that. We just want to go ahead and keep it on FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS. Does it really matter? Let me ask you a question, Queen B, since you up here speaking. Does it really matter to you whatever we call ourselves? You there, Queen B? I hope Queen B. I hope we didn't lose her already. I don't know what's up with these Twitter spaces, man.
No, I'm here. I
okay.
I don't have my phone connected. I just walked away. You asked me a question.
Yeah, I asked you. I was saying, just based on the title, to you, does it really matter what we call ourselves? If we call ourselves FBA or Freedmen or Negro or ADOS, does it matter to you personally?
Me personally, no. My position hasn't changed. Like I said, I have a preference, but no, I'm not going to fight anybody over it. Now, I do want to do. Here's like the caveat to what I'm saying. I do want to do what's the right and legal thing to do, So again, that's why my preference would be to go with Freedmen because, again, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm certainly not a constitutional scholar or lawyer. But, let's just say that we get someone, who is an expert in constitutional law and, would know all of this, and they come and they say, you have to do it as a freedman, I'll say, okay. If they come and they say, well, you have to do it as Negro, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure we do it right. So, but I'm not going to fight and dox people and, some of the other craziness that's been going on. No, that's not how I am. I'm willing to work with anybody.
Okay, that's good. Volvo he hit me up and he said, "Can I see him?" Yeah, Volvo, I can see you. You were in the space. I don't see you now. Twice you came up to speak and I approved you. So I don't know if it's I don't know if it's something on the spaces end or it's something just a connection or whatever. But yeah, Volvo, I approved you to come up and speak 2 times. So if you get a chance to come back in here, I see DJ's disconnecting, so he may be having some issues as well too. Yeah, from the legal standpoint, I'm with you. Like I don't want to, like I say, and I personally don't have a problem being either. We were Negroes for the longest in this country. Growing up, people kind of shied away from being called a Negro. If we're going to be honest here, a lot of people growing up did not want to be called a Negro, but nonetheless, that's what you were. When I was coming up, it was black. Volvo, I keep approving you to speak, so I don't know. It may be something on your end. You may have to go ahead and clear the cache out your phone or something like that, because I keep approving you to speak. So I don't know exactly what's going on with it, Volvo, but I keep approving you to speak. So I would go ahead and maybe restart your phone, clear the cache out or something like that, because I keep bringing you up to speak. So I don't know why it keeps going down. DJ, I'm not sure if you having any issues right now?
Yeah, soon I guess it's still a glitch issue when you share this the spaces out into the DM.
Mm-hmm.
It just automatically turn the shit white, and then all the icons or the avatars just turn clear. Man.
If you're gonna share it out, just share it out. You have to almost, because that's what I learned. Now you have to share it out 1 DM per time. Like just share. You can't mass DM anymore with this here, because it just glitches it up. So I just share it out 1 DM at a time. So let me go ahead and give you that co-host invite as well too back. And like I said, Volvo's having some issues, so hopefully he'll come back in here as well too, because I know he probably wants to say something. But I'm with you, Diane. Like I say, to me, I don't have a problem with FBA and ADOS or whatever, because for the simple fact, it does give you, it allows you to differentiate between other, black ethnic groups in the country. So I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with Freedmen. I don't have an issue with Negro. Like I said, other than like when I was growing up, Negro, people weren't going around calling themselves Negroes in the late 80s and the 90s and stuff. They were calling themselves black. I mean, so, from a historical standpoint, I can understand when people are saying, well, hey, we were Negroes, and it's on a lot of our parents' birth certificate and everything else as well, too. They went to school. They were, whether they were Negro or they were colored. And straight up, now nobody, I'm sure if you put colored out there, people would start getting offended. If you say, well, we used to be colored, a lot of people wouldn't like that. So, I personally don't have an issue. Just write the check or whatever. Let me go ahead and put me in line for the reparations. Call me whatever you want to, because you calling me that anyway. So I don't give a damn personally. If anybody that's FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS, if I can work with them to go ahead and further the fight for our people, I'm more than willing. Like, I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care about whatever religion affiliation either. If you come across the aisle, you say, Toto, we want to go ahead and we want to do this, we want to do that. Hey, I'm down. Like, it's going to benefit us and our people. I'm fine with it. Call yourself what you want to. If you're an atheist, I don't care. So I don't care what anybody calls themselves or labels themselves or whatever. As long as you're not being destructive and you're not trying to tear something down, I mean, there's no issue with me. So I could care less. I hope we can all, like I say, we should be able to find individuals in each one of these segments that we can work with. You can come across the aisle and you can actually do some work with. If you guys tomorrow said we're going to be classified as Negroes, and we get 1 million black people and they sign a petition and they say, okay, well, Negro wins, hey, I never call myself a Negro, even though we know black people are Negro, but hey, I'll be a Negro. If you say we're going to be a freedman, we're going to be this or that. And here's the thing about it, you can say Black American or African American even, and you still, as long as you can prove your actual roots back to actual what the slave fields and stuff in this country, you're still entitled to reparations. So That's my thing right there. That's what we have to remember as a people. Like, call yourself whatever you want to, but the paperwork has to match up. If the paperwork doesn't match up, you don't. Nothing matters at all. Brother McCoo, what's going on? And what's going on to the Prince of Paraphernalia over there? Pop over there at on YouTube as well too. So we're gonna be getting it in tonight, man. I want to hear from a bunch of different people. I want to hear from our people last time too, and let's go ahead tonight and let's have definitely a respectful dialogue. Let me give a shout out to some more people coming here. I see Ray, you coming up here. Let me send you the co-host invite, Ray. If you don't want to co-host tonight, you can just decline it. Let me give a shout out to Everything Black America. Let me give a shout out to Detroit. I see Dana's up in the spot. Dana with the data. Dana, I see you on the other profile. 400. What's going on, bro? Heavenly, what's going on? Bretta, is that Bretta Bond? Bretta Bond. We'll go ahead and we'll get to you after Brother McCoo as well too. So yeah, let's get this thing rolling, man. Let's go ahead and let's worry about the real stuff, the real issues that we need to worry about, all the petty stuff, all the third grade, second grade stuff. And I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody's beliefs, their heritage, lineage, anything like that. Let's just go ahead. Like I say, I consider myself every last one of these titles, these hashtags, you say, I would fit right underneath it. I wouldn't have an issue with it because I am a descendant of American chattel slavery on both sides of my family. Brother McCoo, go ahead and unmute your mic. And how you doing tonight?
Man, what's going on, Tyler? Man, they've been up all morning, all day in the space.
I saw y'all in that space that space from because I was up in the sun last night. Y'all was up in it all the way today, about what 6:30.
Yep. I'm ready to do it again for real, man. No sleep over here. Man, I'm like you. All of these pertain to me. I'm doing my ancestry in a more efficient way, I feel. Definitely with the birth certificates and death certificates and ancestry. And I'm lining them up, see if that shit, line up correctly. And with that being said, some of my ancestors, most of them were classified as Negro, and a few of them were classified as Freedmen. So they both apply to me. I ain't beefing about it. I ain't disassociating nobody for what they are classified as. Because my beef is with the race classifiers. Okay? Yeah, I think we should have a space on. Let's find out who the race classifiers are. I want to find out their emails, their mothers, their fathers, their grandmothers, their children. I want to find out what's up with the race classifiers. They the ones that's punching us in the mouth with all this confusion about race classification. So why wouldn't they try and get it done? Instead of arguing with each other about what we want to call each other when every one of them pertain to each other. In a particular way, in all ways. So we shouldn't be beefing about FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS. Bro, they all relate to us. And FBA has never been a quote-unquote race classification, but it definitely pertains to me. And it definitely pertains to everybody else in this space. Definitely if you're saying you're a Freedman or a Negro. If you're saying you either one of those things, either one of three of those things, all this shit pertain to you. Because you're foundationally from this fucking land. You know what I'm saying? Us arguing about this is being serious about silly shit. Real talk. Anybody that's arguing about this, you're being silly about serious shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're not taking this shit serious at all. You're not doing nothing effective when you're arguing with enough conviction. Because racism, white supremacy still beating your ass. And you still let. So I land there.
All right. See, shout out to my boy Nap up in here as well too. 400. What's going on? West Side Legacy, I believe. How you doing? I'm not sure if I've seen you up in the space before, but nonetheless, let me give you a shout out real quick. I believe it's Bretta. Is it Bretta? Brita?
Yeah, it's Bretta. You got it correct here. You got it correct.
Okay.
First of all, thanks for this space. I am not FBA. I am of Haitian descent. And big shout outs to everyone in the FBA community for coming together to actually differentiate and realizing that Black Americans are a group, and that's a cornerstone to get reparations. Let me tell you, Black Americans will get reparations before any Black Caribbean people get reparations. Matter of fact, I don't think any Black Caribbean people will ever get reparations because I see that foundational Black Americans are codified and they don't kiss ass. They are not looking for symbolism. They don't want to be part of the group. They just want their money. They want their respect. And they respect themselves first. Long time ago, a very, very long time ago, Haitians had respect for themselves. They had the spirit, that unprofound spirit. But that spirit is no longer there, which is why you see what's going on, that's going on over there. Hopefully one day, generations to come, they will get their act straight and realize, oh, you know what? Let's stop trying to sit at the table. It's very important that people understand why FBA are not interested in sitting at the table. They rather more just take their seat at the table. It's very different begging to sit at the table and taking your seat at the table. Any Haitian people are listening, I know this is being recorded. Take notes from the FBA. Take notes from the FBA. FBA don't buddy. They want it themselves. You see it. Wherever I go, I see it here. In terms of a Negro, back in the 40s, 30s, FBA were called Negroes. You want to call yourself a Negro out of respect, call yourself a Negro. But it's very important that the coin FBA is pushed to the lexicon. Years ago, no one would think foundational Black Americans would get reparations. And now look, it's all over Congress, it's all over the news. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Why? Because FBA have that spirit that Haitians had a long time ago when they were fighting. Haitians no longer have that spirit. It's like that spirit left Haiti. It just went straight to Black Americans. That's it.
All right. Thank you, brother. Seemed like the brother disconnected. I agree with what he said. Definitely cold-hearted. I would say this right here. You in the Caribbean, don't give up on your push for reparations as well, too, man. I know some of your people and you feel may not have the actual fight that their predecessors had, but don't give up on it. Continue to push for it because it doesn't take you don't need every single solitary person of Haitian descent or Caribbean descent to go ahead and push the actual reparation agenda. Go ahead and continue to fight for your people. We here in America, we would definitely support your fight for reparations from CARICOM, trying to get your money back from the colonial powers of Western Europe. As long as you guys continue to push and fight for us over here in America to get ours from the United States government as well, too. So definitely do not give up on that. You guys still have that. You still have that chance of getting it. So the actual reparation movement is actually inspiring a lot of people globally in the world. I mean, you got people all over the world that's been inspired by what they're seeing Black Americans doing over here as well, too. So I would say definitely don't give up on it. Keep pursuing it. Keep pushing it. You guys can definitely get it. And I think, I would like to see the entire Black diaspora, be it here in the United States of America. Of course, I want to see us get ours, but I like to see the people in the Caribbean and Africa and, globally. I mean, even those people over there in Australia who done called hell, and I don't know if you would identify them as being Black, but nonetheless, over there in Australia and all throughout the world, South America, especially, like I like to see the entire Black diaspora get reparations from, the colonial powers that have torn down their culture, their family, their nationhoods and everything else. So definitely do not give up on that. That's one thing we can't have. You can't give up. You got to continue to fight. Because if you do give up, then you never will see it. So definitely definitely push the agenda forward. And like I say, and we appreciate you supporting the actual reparation claim that Black Americans got here, and that's what this space is about tonight. We're trying.
Sorry, you was trying to. I was cut off by Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Did everyone hear everything I had to say?
We heard. I think we heard a good amount of it, but you know, it did cut you off, and I thought you had actually landed and then just kind of checked out. But I'm not sure exactly where you may have left off at that you could remember.
You was just basically saying that, not sure what happened to the Haiti spirit, the 1804, and it seemed to have transferred it over to us. And hopefully one day Haiti will be able to get the spirit back. But I was going to ask you too, Dad, what I was going to say to you, man. It'll come back to me, but go ahead.
All right, I'm sorry for cutting in. I did mention that the reason FBA will win is because they're not begging for a seat at the table. They're taking their seat at the table. Haiti is, I don't know if Haiti's cursed, but when you keep begging and you become a beggar, and I don't know if there's any writers down there right now. All the real writers are probably in the north. If you go down to that place called Port-au-Prince, ain't no writers down there. All the writers, the descendants of the fighters, they're in the north, and they're just waiting for the day. If anyone want any historical facts in Haiti, the north is where all the writers are. They're sitting, they're plotting, they're waiting. Shout out to the FBA, because your spirit transcends, and keep fighting hard.
Let me ask you a quick question real quick, Bretta. In terms of I know you're Haitian. In terms of the actual Haitian and Caribbean Black people, how many of them actually support claims for Black people in this country for reparations? Like people in your family, your friends, your inner circle, how many of them have you heard say they actually support claims for Black Americans in this country for reparations?
That's a very good question. In my family, they support it, but I'm gonna give y'all some education. If you ever meet a Haitian person that's heavy in the church, Baptist, those people, keep both your eyes open, because they are so indoctrinated, they don't even like themselves. If you meet a Haitian person that's Catholic, you can vibe with them, because mostly they're into the voodoo, and they're into, they still have a fighting spirit. But if you ever meet a Haitian person that's going to church every day, they don't have a fighting spirit. They don't care about no reparations. They just want some rice and beans, so they could eat and continue for the next day. I'm being completely honest. The only Haitians that support Black Americans getting reparations are Haitians in the north, like Cape Haiti or places like that, where the writers are from. Meet any Haitians in Miami and New York, make sure they have a Catholic background, because most likely they're heavy into the voodoo. If you meet any Haitians that's heavy into the voodoo, they definitely down for FBA getting reparation. But when it comes to these Baptists, these church going folks, I'll be honest with you, they don't want reparations for themselves.
All right, thank you, brother. And I'm here in Florida. I grew up down south in South Florida as well too. Had a bunch of Haitian friends, Jamaican friends, and things of that nature as well too. So I met some Haitians. I know plenty of Haitians that consider themselves Black first, and as long as we had that ideology where you consider yourself as a Black person first, and you're not saying, well, I'm Haitian and then I'm Black or whatever, I definitely ride with you, because like I say, a lot of my boys growing up, they was there, they had your back. They didn't consider themselves Haitian first, they consider themselves Black first. And that's what we have to, and I know a lot of people had an issue with B1. They said, well, B1 this and that or whatever, but I don't have an issue with a brother that's B1. I'm just being real with you. I don't have an issue. I know some people may have an issue with it, but I don't. If you have the mindset that I'm going to place being Black over everything, and that means being Black over being a male, a female, over being a Catholic, a Christian, a Muslim, an Israelite, over being a Democrat, a Republican, over being an American. You know, I don't really have an issue with that. So some people do. Some people say, well, you know, it's got to be BA1 and this and that. But hey, if you're saying that I'm black first and I'm going to ride with you, like I say, we will definitely ride with you guys in your pursuit of reparations with CARICOM and everything else. And we just hope that you guys continue to push for us as well over here in America as well, too. We will push for those on the continent of Africa in their pursuit of reparations for colonization, as long as they continue to push with us over here in America for our pursuit of reparations. We don't have an issue, and despite what you might hear on social media, Black Americans being xenophobia and Black Americans this and that, I think if you look at the actual history of what Black Americans has contributed to the entire Black diaspora.
I'm glad you mentioned that. FBA are not xenophobic. Let me tell you something. Foundational Black, when Haiti was starting off, Foundational Black Americans did a lot to help with the revolution of Haiti, to improve Haiti. I don't believe that at all. And another thing, that CARICOM thing is all cap. Ain't no reparations coming out of that thing. Probably a symbolism gesture. It's all butt wiping over there. It's all. It ain't that CARICOM thing. It's cap. Let me tell you, the reparation movement that's going on here in America has gotten more speed into actually talking about tangibles and tangible being handed out to FBA instead of CARICOM. CARICOM is capitalist capper. Ain't no reparations coming out of that. I'm telling you, it's cap. And B1 first. B1 first, and then I'm Haitian. Black first, and then I'm Haitian.
Let me add to this.
I'm sorry. And if Haitians start actually using that mindset, black first, and then you're Haitian, the entire spirit will start changing. They will go back to being a force that they were. Because at one point, they were a force to be reckoned with. Real quick,
brother. Hold on, brother. Real quick. Let me add to this right here, what you were saying about, you know, what the Haitian revolutionary. Let me also add to this too. Back in the 80s and stuff, when you started down south, I saw when you started having Haitians coming to this country and they were being turned away, Black Americans also was vocal about how Haitians was being turned away and how Cubans was being allowed to come up in this country as well too. If you want to look at the history of Black Americans helping the actual Black diaspora out, whether you're talking about over there in Africa against apartheid, whether you're talking about over there when you had Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and Stevie Wonder and them doing We Are the World, raising tens of millions of dollars for the famine that was going on in Ethiopia and other parts of the actual African continent. Black Americans have always been vocal in the oppression that other Black people throughout this world have faced. Now, at the same time, we have not had the reciprocated respect by a lot of the actual Black diaspora in terms of saying, hey, you know, they're going through hell over there. They're outnumbered. They're behind enemy lines. We need to go ahead and support them as well too. So I just want to throw that out. I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish, but I have to say that Black Americans have always been supportive of the entire Black diaspora. Black Americans have always put their money where their mouth was. Black Americans, more so than any other ethnic group of Black people in this world, you know, have gone out of their way to go ahead and try to actually help the Black diaspora. So a lot of times when you're hearing this stuff on the internet, talk about Black Americans are xenophobic and Black Americans are preaching hate and Black Americans are doing this and that or whatever. The vast majority of Black Americans are not preaching hate. The vast majority of Black Americans are not trying to stop the progress of the Black diaspora. So I have to put that out there as well too. And I agree with what you're saying, Brett. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead, and then we're gonna get it to DJ. So go ahead, bro. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I'll make it quick and land because everyone has to speak. It's especially with technology, it takes the foundation of Black Americans, so just whoever, keep beating the drum and letting people know that FBA, where they have first help Ethiopians or to help the Haitians or whoever, FBA has always been standing 10 toes down, ready to help, ready to fight. It was FBA that had introduced a trolley busing system to Haiti. And you guys know about the Patterson car company. when that's voted, they turn into buses. They were actually very successful in the States, and they went down to Haiti and introduced trolleys and buses and helped them to build a metro commute system. FBA has always been holding it down. And the reason people like Haitians, they don't remember this stuff, and I hate to say this, but I'm a follower of Yeshua. I love God, but that whole church Baptist missionary stuff, man, it's turned a lot of fighters into beta ass people. You got way too look, man. There's way too many missionaries in Haiti. There should be a lot of FBAs going to Haiti by the floods, by the thousands. Y'all should be just going down there, because that spirit will resuscitate the fighting revolution spirit. You got too many missionaries down there, and what does that do? It dilutes their revolution spirit, and now you got a bunch of beta ass dudes just begging for a bag of rice. I mean, these used to be fighters. These used to be. It was once a economic hub in the Americas. And what is it now? And when it was at its prime, it was not a place where people were religious. It was you didn't have Baptist churches everywhere. And one of the main issues with that place is the whole Christianity thing. And I'm not bashing on Christianity because I love me some Jesus, but the way that it's been distorted, it's got the society turned into beta. Shout out to Northern Haiti. Those are the last Mohegans. And then look, man, FBA should be going. If y'all do go to Haiti, go to the north, set up shop, and let things unravel how God will make it unravel. I land. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, I appreciate you, bro. I'm going to kick it to Wilson, but I'm going to say this right here. At this point in time, we have to kind of focus on what's going on in America and our plight here. But we do wish you guys the best of luck. And like I said, we definitely support you in your pursuit of it. But at this point in time, we can't really afford to go any other place and fight because we fought so much for other people. So we fought in every war that this country's had. And got nothing ever done for us. We've gone all over the world for so-called democracy, and we fought. We were willing to even go in World War II and fight for Ethiopia. And the white folks say, well, no, y'all can't go over there and do this or whatever. So I'm definitely, like I say, I support you guys 100% in your pursuit of justice and reparations from the same colonial slave masters that had us shackled and chained up in this country as well, too. But I'm just going to be honest, like at this point in time, we would not be able to, I get what you're saying that our spirit will rub off on some of the people over there, but we still got our spirit. Our spirit still have to rub off on our own people over here first and foremost, because we got a whole bunch of magpies in this country as well, too. That's black, that was born in this country, raised in this country, ain't on code. So we got to go ahead and we got to tighten them up first and foremost before we can go and tighten up anybody else in the diaspora. But like I say, I get what you're saying, and I support you on that, and I support your pursuit on it. And I thank you so much for understanding the actual sacrifice that Black Americans have done on behalf of everybody, not only Black immigrants, but immigrants in general, and those that's in this country right now who have benefited off the labor and the slavery that Black Americans have gone through. So I appreciate your support, and I appreciate the love that you have for Black Americans, brother. And I reciprocate it to you and the entire Black diaspora. Like I say, I appreciate that B1 attitude. So best of luck to you, and keep fighting. Don't give up. Go ahead, and the same way you see us applying that pressure on people over here, start applying it on some of your people. Slowly but surely, you'll get enough of them to go ahead and start seeing the light. You ain't gonna get everybody. You can't convince everybody. You can't make everybody go ahead and see the light, but you can get enough of them where you have a real force behind you. So just keep fighting, bro. Don't give up. Don't let it get you down. You remember your proud history that you are the first slave nation to go ahead and defeat a colonial power. That in itself is power in itself, and your people can never forget that. The moment they forget that, they are a defeated people. Never forget that. That's not Black history. That is world history. That's something that was never done before, and has never been done since. So please go ahead and remember that history. It is valuable. Do not give up on that. And like I said, you guys can go ahead. You are the majority in your country. You can go ahead and you can take it over. You can go ahead and do what you got to do. Y'all sitting on a gold mine of resources up there. The world don't want y'all to go ahead and get on your feet, but y'all can do it. The power is within you, your people. So go ahead and continually push that. Let me go ahead and get to my sister, Wilson. Wilson, how you doing tonight?
Hi, how are you? How's everybody?
Doing good.
What's up, sister?
What's up, twin? How you doing?
All is well. How you doing?
Good. I was just going to say the same thing you just said, Newstoter, to this gentleman. Black American people have been doing the heavy lifting for the world for centuries. But in particular, as it pertains to this conversation, we've done enough heavy lifting, enough fighting, enough of everything for the Black diaspora around the world. We have seen that for a small sum, it's appreciated. But what we have experienced here, particularly these Black immigrants that have migrated to this country after civil rights, we have seen an anti-Black American sentiment that is very strong in this country among people that look like us but are definitely not like us. I also feel that because of these things, delineation is the only way to for Black Americans to separate themselves from those that come to this country and want to attach their issues onto Black American issues, but don't want to do the work. I don't see them out there opening up their mouths to fight for reparations. I don't see them doing the work to understand true Black history in order to respect it enough to defend Black American people against white supremacy. In fact, what they do is participate in white supremacy. As Charles Blow has so poignantly pointed out many times, is that today's white supremacy is not yesterday's white supremacy with a white man in a sheet on a horse torching Black people's homes. Today's white supremacy is Asian, is Black, is Hispanic, is Native Indian, it's white. It has the uncanny way to change itself all the time. So at this point, when it comes to issues about going to other countries, we don't need to go to anybody else's country. Black American people created the greatest country in the world with the strongest economy off of 466 years of free labor. We don't need to go anywhere else. What I would say to Black Caribbean Africans who come here is go back to your country and make it great, like you've seen Black American people make this country great. We cannot take on your issues, and we have our own to deal with here. And I will say this: I am an African American. I am not a Black American. My parents came from Cuba and Jamaica. They came during Jim Crow, a completely different perspective. My parents were hell-bent to the day my father died that we understand true Black history. And so at the end of the day, for me, as an African American, I am in 100%, I am Black first. Okay? And my father and my mother made sure that we appreciate the fact that Black Americans' blood on this American soil is what has caused this country to be the greatest country in the world to this day. And that I detest any Black, Caribbean and African that come to this country and shit on Black American people. What they need to do is go back to their respective country. Period. And so at the end of the day, I ride for my Black American people because they have shown my family nothing but great things. My father came here in the 50s and my mom came here in 1960. And so with that being said, they were humble enough not to think that they had the corner market on Black American history. What they did for us was teach us through the Nation of Islam. That was the best my father could do. So I say to all Black Caribbean and Africans, when you come here, you appreciate the fact that your respective countries could not give you what this country can give you. And if you feel that there are injustices going on in your country, go back. The question about why, missionaries go to these countries, because there's a sexual perversion that can go on with immunity. There is a financial perversion that goes on with these missionaries. They take advantage of the poverty, take advantage of Black people around the world. And then they teach them anti-Black American hate. That's why they're there. And I land. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Wilson. I see we got original. And y'all, tonight is the second part of the discussion we had Friday night, FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS. Does it really matter? This is part 2. So I want to get y'all opinion on that as well, too. I know we're briefly talking about, because we have a brother up here, brother from that has Haitian descent, and he was showing his support for the actual Black Americans in the country. But I want y'all to also know that the discussion tonight is still centered around what the title of the actual room is: FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS. Does it really matter? Part 2. You guys already know my opinion on it. I say it doesn't matter. I say I don't care whatever my fam want to call themselves. I'm with it, as long as we can go ahead and we can get things pushing and moving. I don't care what you call yourself. As long as we can go ahead and further what we need to further in terms of empowerment, I'm down for it. I'm whatever. So if you want to call yourself this or that, I'm cool with it, fine. But at the same point in time, we got work to do. Hopefully we can get some of our people to work across the aisle. I know on this app, there's got to be some freedmen, there's got to be some Negro, some FBA that are cool with each other, that can put in work with each other. I know they may have their own ideology, their own groups and gatherings and everything else. But I know we got enough intelligent and smart Black people on this app that have that see that they're trying to go ahead and push something for the betterment of their people, that can come together and work together. It might not be all the people, but it may be enough of them. So that's my thing right there. To me, it doesn't matter. That's my personal opinion. But my personal opinion, I can't push off on the next person. The next person says, and I've been getting DMs, people say, oh yeah, it matters. It matters. And, I respect that. If it matters to that person, it matters to them. I'm not saying it does or it doesn't. So, to me, it doesn't matter, because like I say, I feel like no matter what you call yourselves, the white Americans call you something else totally different. And we know it starts with an N word. So it may matter to you. It may matter to the next person, but to the people that's actually running this country, you're all the same thing. So I believe we have bigger fish to fry. And I think we definitely need to go ahead and try to go ahead and let's because we got a lot of people, that's really talented. Our people are some talented people. We need to go ahead and put that talent to use and try to benefit ourselves from that talent. So on that note, let me kick it to Original. Original, you got it.
Peace, Black Power, and lineage-based reparation people. Newstoter, but I would listen to the Haitian brother. What's your name is Rita Bond. What he is saying is correct. When that first earthquake hit Haiti, myself and some others, we raised money and sent this sister over there to hit the ground and do whatever she could do for, to help the people out. And so when she was over there working, so this degenerate white Christian had asked her what religion she was into. She said, well, I'm not into religious belief. I'm into honoring my ancestors, or however she said it, right? So then this witch, she goes around and started telling the Haitian brothers and sisters not to work with her because she wasn't a Christian. And so, but this one brother, he was a physician, I think. And she told me, she said, I understand if you all can't work with me, because she said, I can only help you to do so much. Other people will be able to help you, to do more than what I can help you with, And this brother told her, he said, you know what? He says, fuck that bitch. He said, fuck that white bitch. He said, she is not my sister. You are my sister. And he said, I am going to work with you. You came over here to help us, and we are going to work with you. And I think that's what it takes, and like you said, we're not against any other black people around the world. But what happens is, just like I told you, my cousin, who is a retired engineer, he worked on this solar home project through his company at Georgia Tech. And what he told me, he said it was a Ghanaian, a Nigerian, and a person from Kenya. Well, it was a Ghanaian, a Nigerian, and a brother from Kenya, one from Jamaica. And he said he always had to ride their back because they had this attitude that, they were white, their minds were whitewashed. They had this attitude that they were better than us and we couldn't do anything. And the three Africans, they said, yeah, we were told that we cannot affiliate with y'all. We can't have these revolutionary conversations with us because they would get sent back to their homeland. And they wasn't trying to go back at all. And he said, and he had to force some of them to tell him. He said, "Why you don't want to talk to me? What what's up?" So it's like Khalid Muhammad said, and what's going on with this? I'm like you, Newstoter. It does not matter what we call ourselves. What matter is that we get this check and the other tangibles that go along with it. That's what matters. All this other stuff, because as I said before, as Khalid Muhammad said, always look for the hairy hidden white hand. And I do believe that all these people, I don't care who they are, if you're up here saying that we got to call ourselves a specific name in order to get this, in order to get reparations, then it is my belief that you are a Boule COINTELPRO agent. Because see, it has always been these people who want to stand up and act as if they are the intelligent ones. They know what's best for us. They've done this research. They've done this. And half of them ain't done shit. They just look like the Dr. Harris and the William O'Neills of the world. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're in here and you know somebody who push whatever. It doesn't matter. That sound like agent talk. Because see, let's look now. It was agents that got around Brother Malcolm as well as even Dr. King. So that's the thing that we're dealing with. When I hear that talk, I always think the first thing crossed my mind is that either they are an agent or they're pushing what another agent want them to do. And I think once we get past that, because it's like you said, we have not, even when CARICOM started back in the 90s, we all supported them and wished and wanted them to succeed with CARICOM. But yeah, like the brother said, CARICOM doesn't have any teeth in it. And that's why it is so important for us to band together, because we got to start going to these things that the Incobras and others are putting together so that we can, force them to do what's right by us. Because the Incobras, the NARCs, the Institutes of the Black World, and all these other groups, Malcolm X Grassroots, the Malcolm X Grassroots, whatever they call themselves, all of these people are financed by white folks. They cannot convince us to give them money. So they go to white folks, and when the white folks back them, they gotta toe whatever line the white people tell them to toe. And like I said, anybody can get upset, but I just want to share that, and that, if we can start doing that, and we can just organize in such a way whereby if we know different people in different states or whatever, and if it's not too far from where they live, when they're holding these little sessions, we can get the word out. If you can get 10 to 20 people, if you can, and go over and have specific question that you want to push. And each person, if they shoot one person down, the other person stand up. And we got to be clever, though, because see, what they'll try to do is they'll try to say, oh, you got to put your question in on an index card or something. But I just want to say that, and you are right, we have never turned our backs on other black people around the world. But now, these new people that's coming over here, well, some of the old ones too, the white folks have already told them before they get here, do not affiliate with those Negroes. Those Negroes will get you in trouble. But let's not forget, Kwame Nkrumah. I can't recall the school that he attended, but see, it was Kwame Nkrumah, and it was several others that came over during that time period, and they was getting with black people, and the black people was giving them that revolutionary mindset, and they was able to go back to their country, respective countries, and they was able to get some things done. But see, even with Kwame Nkrumah, the black folks that whose mind was controlled by white folks, they turned on Kwame Nkrumah and they overthrew him. I mean, this is why I do not and I will not ever affiliate with the religion. I don't care what it is, because I already know that stuff is fake anyway. So this is why I tell people, if you want to deal with the religion, that's your thing. I'm not mad at you, but just don't try to bring it over to me. But I think once we start to get this perspective out, people will begin to understand, and we can pull more people in, and we can get done what we need to get done. Because just waiting for anybody, like I said, Jesus ain't gonna show up. For those that's waiting for Jesus, if you believe Jesus is gonna show up and help you, I need you to prove that. Jesus, there was an article it was several years ago, even the Catholic Church said Jesus ain't coming back. So you just gonna have to deal with that. But I just want to share that, especially the part about the sister that we sent to Haiti to put some work in and try to help the people, and what the white folks told the people not to work with her, So stuff like that has to be discussed, and we have to understand. But at the same time, they need to understand that they have an obligation as well. So I just want to share that, and I'll land with that.
All right, appreciate that, Original. I'm gonna read a couple comments real quick. Let me find some comments and scroll down off of YouTube over here real quick. My girl Love My Folks, she be going in, she be talking some serious noise over here on YouTube, man. Like, good Lord, she really be going off. But she was saying something to the fact, let me say, she says, to hell with the B1 BS. Black is for Negroes of the United States. If the brown skins want to form a group, create a new name. Black is ours. I said, this sister, she be talking some serious noise right here. Then we had Zane said, that's a distraction from the bigger goal, destroy our common enemy, which is white supremacy. She said, Newstoter hashtags regarding foreigners and immigrants is a no. I'm only allying with power, which would be our U.S. government. Let's look at another one. My man Nightfall says, we better because it's the only single mindset and code which will pull us out of issues. She also says, Newstoter, I had no issue with people calling themselves that. The issue is that all these people are requesting that the government calls us all of those names. They're overstepping their bounds. So I guess Love My Folks feels like she doesn't have any issue with people particularly calling themselves that, but by trying to get the government to go ahead and call us that these names, that they're actually overstepping their bounds. Nightfall said one of the biggest issues amongst Black communities being divided by a bunch of silly, unproductive labels. Okay. Newstoter, you're assuming these other groups want to collaborate. Each hashtag org wants to be the mediator between us and a check. That matters to me. So even here in the comment section and stuff like that, you see it's kind of hard for us to get into unison and whatnot. Like I say, you're not going to get everybody aboard. You're going to have to go ahead and find a small group of people that actually can identify. What I find interesting is that both, and we heard in the other space, you had the people that were proponents of being called Negro and the people that were proponents of being freedmen. They both was actually able to pull actual data from those eras and stuff, showing you the actual documents and everything of that nature. So both, I don't want to call them groups because they're not really groups, but both, I just say both people or whatever were able to go ahead and actually provide real data showing you the actual historical evidence that goes along. Volvo, I see you up here, so let me let you get on up here while I got you up here now to show actual realistic data that shows that goes back to our time back in slavery and after slavery as well too. And Volvo, I just went ahead every time I approve Volvo to come up here, it's like he gets lost in the matrix. I don't know what's going on because he just requested, I just approved him. And just that quick, he's gone again. So Bovo, I'm looking to see. I don't see you up here, so I don't know if it must. DJ, you know what's going on with Bovo? Because he constantly keeps disappearing. He comes up here to speak, and then next thing I know, he's gone.
Hey man, that's these people's phones. To be honest with you, okay.
He's
I'm in the car right now whipping, so I can barely talk. But that's people's phones. What we gotta do, if you're on a Android, you gotta clear that cache and the data out. And if you're on an iPhone, I'm not really sure what to tell you, but it's somewhat similar. Clear the Twitter cache and clear the Twitter data inside of your app settings or whatever. You know, that's the only thing I can tell you. But you know, I think the brother got an iPhone if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Let me ask you a quick question, DJ. Back in what was it, 2016, 17, that you start really hitting ADOS, with Angela and them, not Angela, but with Yvette and them and everything like that. Because I don't think I started hearing about it until maybe 2018 or whatever. But back when it first started coming out, did you have the kind of pushback against the actual ADOS with the actual hashtags that you have now with all of the other stuff, the Freedmen and the FBA and the Negro and everything else? Was that kind of pushback around back then?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a pushback against the hashtag. It was more or less a pushback against, it was more or less a pushback from other melanated diasporan folks, specifically Talib Kweli. Listen, we're speaking about reparations for Black Negro Freedmen Americans. We're not speaking about reparations for the whole diaspora. So there ain't no need for you to get upset, Talib, and act like Yvette was doing something wrong when she told you this is specifically for us. You could go to wherever your country is at, you know, whether it be Jamaica, Congo, or whatever, and talk to your counseling government, you know, people's over there and say, hey, look, we need to put a lawsuit together to sue the American government for harms and injustices against the Tanzanian people, against the Egyptian people, against the Ghana people, the Nigerian. That's cool. We'll support that and shit. But at the end of the day, you trying to say because you've been here in America and you might have suffered some type of Jim Crowism under the crack era, but you're not a Black American. So how can that be that you are entitled to our reparations? Now, that's one thing I did want to ask the brother Breeder. What is your opinion that CARICOM actually excluded Haiti and America from reparations, but eventually put Haiti into the CARICOM reparations only a few years ago? So you got to go all the way back to the 70s when CARICOM started.
I want to answer that question. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before I answer that question,
just real quick, Volvo, hit me in the DM. I'll help you fix the phone, bro. Go ahead.
Before I answer that question, I first heard of ADOS in 2018, and I did not really hear any riffraff about it because a lot of people, especially at Cornell, they were heavily involved with DNC. We all know that. But as soon as FBA came on the scene, I've been hearing a lot of riffraff, you know, because a lot of the folks that are heavily pushing FBA, they are anti-Democrat. Now, I just want to say that. In terms of the whole CARICOM thing, the reason Haiti was taken out of CARICOM, may he rest in power, Jovenel, that guy was one of the last Mohicans, and so happened that he's from the north of Haiti, where the fighters are from, the fighters that helped fight the revolution. If anyone wants some knowledge, all those fighters back in the 1700s, 1800s, all those guys came from the north. They all came from the north. All those guys came from the north. And till this day, the military was formed in the north. Those are the guys that fight revolution. Jovenel, he did so much great things for Haiti. Matter of fact, he was trying to have a pact where he could like have FBAs come into Haiti as scientists and stuff like that. Jovenel realized, may rest in power, the president that was assassinated. He realized CARICOM was a scam, and he actually went to a meeting in the Bahamas, and he actually called him. I said, y'all are cap. Y'all are straight cap. And so they kicked Haiti out of that because Jovenel wasn't having the cap. So right after his murder, it just so happened Haiti's back in CARICOM. to answer your question.
All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Just real quick too, just to reiterate too, and I appreciate that too, brother Breeder. So with that being said, again, there's no real pushback even then or even now. The problem is, what's the word I'm looking for? Different ideologies or whatever the case be, where folks want to have their own ideology of what being black is or what reparations is. So there ain't no pushback from me back. The reason why FBA exists is because of a falling out Tariq and Antonio Moore had, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, and as far as like a lot of folks not agreeing with the name ADOS, well, Martin Luther King said we are DOS, descendants of slaves. So all Yvette did was slap an A on the shit and call it the ADOS. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's just another moniker for black or whatever the case be. But if we're talking about actual paperwork, legitimate paperwork, Freedmen, Negro is the only thing we could go with. You know what I mean? And those are both the same thing at the end of the fucking day. So why are we really up here arguing about what the hell we even arguing about? What should I call? No, it's all the same shit. It's all the same shit. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk, real talk. Let me real quick. Let me go ahead and because somebody put in the hashtags and they put hashtags is another way to keep track of our activity. So I guess they're saying that hashtags is another way that people have been able to keep track of what activities we have going on social media. And I'm sure, like anything else, they have analytics and they have way of tracking stuff like that as well too. So that could possibly be true as well too. Breeder, were you going to say something real quick?
I agree with everything that was previously said, but in terms of tracking, we shouldn't get scared. They're listening to this conversation, so whether you hashtag or no hashtag, everything's being monitored. Tariq had a phenomenal march in DC, and folks, I mean, what was it, like 5,000 folks showed up for reparations march, and that's being monitored. So let's not get scary. Let's just stick to what's important. Freedmen, black folks getting reparations. If some want to be ADOS, then gonna be ADOS. If you want to be FBA, then you're FBA. But there shouldn't be any riffraffing because that will stall everything, and that will create infight when there's no time for infight. If you want to be FBA, excuse me, I can burn. You want to be FBA, you can be FBA. If you want to be ADOS, you can be ADOS. But regardless, you're all freedmen, and that's what's very important. On paper, you're all freedmen. I don't want to say that there should be a Congress governmental push to have black folks labeled. Black folks are freedmen on paper, documented freedmen. Some can be, if you want to be ADOS, then be ADOS. That's a group that's fighting for the freedmen reparations. Others can be Foundation of Black Americans. That's the group that's fighting for reparations. But regardless, ADOS, freedmen, collectively, ADOS, FBA, collectively, that's freedmen on paper. On paper, freedmen. I can't be a Foundation of Black American because my descendants are from Haiti, right? I can't be. A Jamaican can't be. A Nigerian can't be. And if they try to be, call them out their cap, asking for the paperwork. If they, matter of fact, see if they go back to the 1800s, 1700s, they cannot be. I can't never be. I can't never be. So this really is about freedmen getting the business of reparations secured for freedmen.
All right, appreciate that. And I think the term FBA, if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard Tariq say something that he heard Dr. Claude Anderson say Native Black Americans. So I think he kind of took it from there and put, made it foundational Black Americans. So uh no, and I don't have an issue, like I said before. I don't have an issue with people calling because it isn't identified. Listen, I'm here in Florida, and I've seen many a times people, Jamaicans, Haitians, Bahamians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, people riding around with their flags. Now, some of these people was born in this country, and some of them were first generations people that came over here and stuff. But they have flags from the actual native land that they come from in their cars. You see it all the time. I see Haitian flags all the time here in Florida. I see Jamaican flags all the time. So you have a group of people that's identifying themselves right here, saying this is my heritage right here. So I don't understand why other people would have a problem if Black Americans say, hey, you know what? Well, since you're identifying and you're saying this is who you are, even though you can go ahead and you can put your flag up here and you can say that you're Caribbean Black or you're from Nigeria or whatever, and you can do this and that. At the same time, when it's time to fill out paperwork, you can also say that you're a Black person, meaning a Black American, and get the benefits that whatever little crumb benefits it is for Black Americans to get, you can get that as well too. And then there's certain things set aside at some of these universities, that's scholarship programs and stuff that's strictly for a Caribbean person or strictly for a non-Black American person. So I don't understand why people would have an issue with that if Black Americans say, hey, you know what? Well, we're gonna go ahead real quick, Brady. Let me go ahead and go. I don't know why anybody would have an issue, so to speak, with if a Black American say, you know what? Well, yeah, we're Black, but at the same time, we're part of a different ethnic group. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call myself this. I'm going to have my flag validating my nationality the same way you do or your ethnic group. And I don't understand why anybody would have particularly an issue with that. Well, it's okay if you're from another country. And like I say, in some instances, some of these people are actually born here in the United States of America, but, because their parents are from Jamaica, Haiti, or the Bahamas or wherever, they can go ahead and still say, you know what, I'm born in America, but my family came from here, and I'm still going to rep this flag here, even though I wasn't born there. Or I was born there, but I left when I was 3-4 years of age, and I came here. I'm an American citizen now, but I'm still going to go ahead and I'm going to rep this flag right here. But if a Black American says, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm 20 generations in this country right here. Let me go ahead and put up a flag saying about my heritage in this country. Then people look at it and say, well, why are you doing that? Why you being divisive? Why would you go ahead and put up that? Why you should just have the American flag up there, this and that or whatever. So I don't really understand that issue, so to speak, myself. I don't understand why people have an issue when Black people do it, or Black Americans do it, I should say. Breed, I'm going to go ahead and let you go really quick. Rera, if you want to speak, I see you up here as well too, sister. So if you want to speak, just go ahead and raise your hand. Wilson, I see you came back up here as well too. We want to go ahead and start getting our speakers back up in here like we did last time, y'all. Let's go ahead and get this thing start cooking. I see a Black majority states up in the place as well too. I see Miss T is up in here. So guys, you go ahead, and my sister Goddess is up in here, Black Pressure. So anybody that wants to speak tonight, go ahead. Once again, this is part 2 of the discussion we had Friday night. FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS, does it really matter? Part 2. In my estimation, like I said before, and I'll say it again, to me, it personally does not matter. I know some people say, well, it matters to me, and I have no objection. If it matters to you, then fine, I respect your opinion. To me, I just want to go ahead and get things moving or whatever. And I want to see tonight if we can get some people that come up in the space. I don't know if the same people are going to come up in the space, but we get some people coming up in the space. I want to see if we can go ahead and start getting people to actually meet across the aisle and trying to actually work together if possible. If it's not possible, hey, it is what it is. But if it is possible, I want to see if we can go ahead and do that. So real quick, Brady, I'll let you go real quick, and then I'm going to get to my sister, Rera.
You mentioned something very important. Folks getting benefits just for checking out the box, black, i.e. African American, whatever. It's very important that Freedmen folks fight hard to actually add Freedmen into that box. Black American, African American, Freedmen. Look, I don't have a problem with the word ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, as a name for a class action suit. But when you that name forever. If I was Freedmen, I would want the word slavery attached to my representation forever. Oh, hey, so what are you? Well, I'm an ADOS. It's a task for the next 100 years. ADOS should be a name that's used for a major class action suit, not a name that's coined to represent a people. Native, foundational Black American, I like that. Native Black American, I like that. Freedmen, I love that more. But perception is everything. Let's never forget that. Perception is everything. We can use a DOS or ADOS as let me be careful with my words. Not we. Freedmen can use it as a class action suit when it's time to get that paper. You know what I'm talking about? But using that as a coin to represent the people forever on, I'm very fickle about that because perception is everything. You don't want the word slavery attached to your representation forever. You feel me? It was the past, and it was an ugly past, and that's why Freedmen are fighting hard to ensure that they get paid for that ugly past. But we move on.
All right, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to Reraw. How you doing, Reraw, tonight?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Newstoter, for the space. Peace and reparations to everyone. I was just going to hit on the topic, does it really matter? And I was born in the 80s, right? And so my old birth certificate said my mom and my father were Negroes. And then I lost that birth certificate, which was really disappointing. I lost that. And when I went and got a new one, it said that I was a Black American. And so I don't know how far it goes back, but I know that my father's side and my mother's side, they are both Negroes. And like I said, I haven't been able to check back any further what my great great grandparents or anything like that. But mine personally said Negro until I had to get it changed. I lost it and I had to go back to San Francisco, get a new one, and it said Black American. So as far as FBA, the reason why I have that on my profile, in my bio, is because it resonated with me. You know, yes, I'm FBA. Yes, I'm ADOS. Yes, I'm foundational. Yes, I could possibly even be indigenous. I don't know. I haven't went that far, you know, and so I can't really say, but it doesn't really matter. No, it doesn't really matter because we're all the same group of people. We're all the same group of people, no matter what they call us. We're still all the same 40 million people, they say, in America under this banner, you know, and us fighting amongst each other. It just looks bad. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are like, oh, the FBA is Tariq Nasheed, you know, it's Tariq Nasheed, you know, and I love Tariq Nasheed. I don't watch every one of his podcasts, but I watch every one of his documentaries, okay? And I don't think that FBA is just based, you know, solely on Tariq Nasheed. It's actually bigger than him, you know what I mean? This is people who are trying to take their nationality back and say who they want to be. You know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with that either. That's why I am FBA, because I feel like I have control of that and I'm taking it back. You know what I mean? But I am still a Negro. I am still Freedmen. I am still ADOS. I'm still all of that. You know what I mean? And so no, it doesn't really matter. And if it's going to divide us further, then fuck it. I'm sorry. If it's going to divide us further, then forget all of it. Let's just do what we have to do to make it happen. We're so close. We're so close right now. There should be no infighting. If they say let's go this way, then let's just go. If they say let's go that way, then why are we fighting and not getting to the bag? You know what I'm saying? Which is the most important thing. And last thing I wanted to touch on is my you know, my African sisters and Haitian and Caribbean brothers and sisters. You know, when we first came out on Twitter, this wasn't about y'all. This was about immigrants. It wasn't about specific any type of immigrant. It was just about immigrants in particular. And for some reason, we winded up going back and forth. That's what these white people love to see. Notice if you get in any of these comments and somebody starts fighting with you over another white person, they just back off. They don't have anything else to say because they're like, this is exactly what we wanted. Yes, unity worldwide, Black people would be amazing. It would be amazing. But currently, that's not where we're at. And so, yes, I do agree with Newstoter when he said we need to stick to ourselves and we need to figure out what we have to figure out. We have a lot of stuff on the line right now. And then when we finish what we have to do, yeah, we'll circle back. And even in the process of us doing what we have to do for us, still support y'all. But right now, this is a crucial time for us. And I just feel like, yeah, y'all should absolutely have our backs. If you don't have nothing good to say, then don't say anything at all. Don't say nothing at all. And I land. Thank you so much, Newstoter, for this time.
Thank you. And I agree with you saying that definitely. And like I said before, and just to get to your point where you was talking about, us as Black Americans focusing on ourselves. I think everybody in the Black diaspora has to focus on themselves before you can go ahead and have some kind of unity base. If you're in the Caribbean, if you're in Jamaica, Haiti, you can't go and work with if you're in Haiti, you can't go work with Jamaicans until you go ahead and get yourselves fixed up. We have to get ourselves fixed up first over here as Black Americans before we can go ahead and do anything else. We can't. How are we going to go and clean somebody else's house up and our house is dirty? You got to worry about and focus on yourself first and foremost before you can go ahead and mend the fences with anybody else. So that just makes common sense. Once you go ahead, like you said, Rerod, and you go ahead and do that, you can do that. We also have to stop thinking in terms of fairy tales as well. There has never been a group of people, and that's Black, white, Hispanic, whoever. There's never been a group of people in any race that's been totally 100% united. People look at the United States of America now and they say, well, white folks came over here and white folks started working together and white folks look at how America is just a melting pot and Europeans. No, man, before this country was ever founded, even after it was founded, how many wars did you have on this landmass right here? How many wars took place between France and England and Spain and all the rest of them fighting each other, trying to kill each other and take total control of this landmass over here, butchering and killing each other? You've never had it. Even when the country was founded, you still had the American-Spanish War and everything else. So you've never had just one group of race of people that just totally got along with each other. And we have to stop that as Black people as well too. Black people, there's never been a time where we all just got along. If you're one of the ones that say, hey, and I know we have people that say you didn't come from Africa, this and that, but let's just say for the ones that we talk about Africa during prehistoric times or whatever times or ancient times or whatever, they didn't all get along with one another. Nobody's always ever totally got along with everybody else, man. You've always had wars and civil wars and strife and bloodshed between groups and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that is human nature. Like I say, first and foremost, we need to go ahead and worry about ourselves. I'm going to read a comment real quick off of YouTube, and love my folks. She's pretty active over there. She says, why not just call ourselves Black American and make the newcomers identify as whatever they fled from? Don't ever let an immigrant's presence make you change your whole identity. I mean, I would have probably worded it a little bit different, but I would say, we had a space months ago talking about Black Americans, African Americans, and this and that, and that's kind of how the whole like Hebrew thing really got going. Like Irie really got onto that like afterwards because he was adamant. I was saying Black American, we had African American in there. He was saying that he was fine with it as long as it had attached Black American or Hebrew Black or it had Negro Black American or something like that. So I'm not sure you're going to ever find a common term that we all agree on, at this point in time. The unfortunate thing about it is if we don't agree on it, white folks have showed you that they don't have any issue naming you and grouping you and labeling you, whatever. So they've already shown that. It's not been a time in this country that we've actually come and just say, you know what, we're going to call ourselves that. I know people say back in the late 80s, you had Jesse Jackson and some others come up with the term African Americans. But generally throughout the history of this country, we've never had any kind of say in what we called ourselves. We always called about white folks pretty much called us what they felt they wanted to call us. So we've actually never had any say in terms of what we called ourselves. I have a question here too. If we were able to get a national bank going and it was a Freedmen bank, would people have a problem with that? If the name of the bank was actually the Freedmen Bureau again, if you had the Freedmen Bureau, would people in this space have an issue with that? Say, oh well, shit, I'm not putting my money in there. I don't want my money. I don't want them Freedmen niggas collecting my money up in there. Hell no, change that name. That ain't gonna work. Well, we really, I want to hear the people's thoughts on that. Would you have an issue if people say, hey, I don't want to have my money in anything called Freedmen? Well, I mean, will we have an issue if it said Negro Bank or ADOS Bank or FBA Bank? I'm gonna let you get it, Rerod. I'm gonna let you go, and then that Negro, I'm gonna let you go next. Rerod, go ahead, unmute your mic.
The only reason why I would have a problem with a Freedmen Bank is because we already have one, and as we all know, history repeats itself. I mean, they're trying to reinstate Jim Crow laws in Mississippi. So history repeats itself. They have a way of like just reeling us into stuff, and then we think that, oh, they're going to be cool this time, and then they never are. If we're going to put our money into a bank when we get reparations, it definitely needs to be from the ground up, started from Black people, worked within Black people, real Black people. You know, I mean, yeah, so I probably would, just because what happened last time.
So with that said, would you have an issue if we had a Negro Bank or ADO, or just let's say Negro Bank, because we got Freedmen. Let's just say Negro Bank. Would you have an issue if they say, well, this is a United Negro Bank right here?
I don't have an issue with the name. I have an issue with who's going to run it. You know what I mean? If it says a Negro Bank and Negroes are running it, if it says Freedmen Bank and Freedmen are actually running it, if it says FBA Bank and FPAs are actually running it, then I'm going to go. I'm all about my people. You tell me to put my money in this bank, we can do this, we can do that, and there's not going to be no outside influence. I'm with it, 100% with it, because I know that we have to, combine our money to even make a dent. You know what I mean? So I'm not against the name. I'm just against who's going to run it. If it's not coming from us, our community, there's going to be people who don't represent us in it, trying to get their claws in it and trying to invest all this money so that they can take from it and destroy it from the inside out. And no, it's not about the name. It's about who runs it.
And I agree with you. And I agree with you on that, sister. Like, you're right. No matter what we call it, it needs to be Black run. You have to have Black people in it. And it just can't be any Black person as well, too. Because for all we know, they could be some lackey put up in there to go ahead and embezzle funds and make the damn thing collapse as well, too. So
it's got to be very important that
real quick. Hey, Breeder, real quick. Yeah, go ahead and just raise your hand. But it can't be any lackey that they could just find and put up in there and embezzle funds, because we've known throughout time that they've taken people and they put people in positions of power that's pretty much just double agents to go up there and actually destroy everything. So we can't just have somebody. It would have to be people that we actually elect to be up in there, people that's capable of running things, that showed that they had a history of handling finances, and that they've been in leadership positions before as well, too. We just can't take some Joe Smo off the street, put him up in there, say, oh, this is a Black person. Oh, my cousin uncle knows him from 20 years ago, and just put them up there and let them manage funds and everything else. No, it can't be like that. It has to be somebody that has the actual qualifications to go up there and show that they can handle such an assignment as well. So we'd have to have people, we have to have a way of having complete 100% transparency. 100% transparency, so everybody will feel safe and secure with their dollars up in this bank as well, too. So I'm in total agreement with you on that, Reba. I don't think I am. We can't have what happened. I will have to say this too. We have to remember too, when we got hit, when you had the Freedmen Bank get hit back in the day, we were essentially still slaves in this country. We were free legally, but we were essentially still damn slaves. We were at the mercy of America. I don't think at this point in time that we would be at the mercy of them like that. But like I say, we have to go a way of having a way of putting our own people in there, of vetting them properly, and making sure that these people actually have the qualifications, the skill level. There are people right now, there are Black-owned banks and credit unions in this country as well, too. So we could go ahead and we could start forming actual boards and coalitions and things of that nature to make sure the people that be up in these positions of power are people that deserve to be up there as well, too. So I just want to go ahead and say that part there as well.
It's loyal to our plight. You know what I mean? They just have to be loyal to our plight. You know, it's all good. You know, like everybody else has their banks, they have their, programs or whatever for them. We have to have somebody who is actually loyal to our plight and what we're going through. And they're not going to be persuaded, when they see somebody with blue eyes and blonde hair come through and they offering like a little bit extra. They have to be loyal. And, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to find. But I feel like if we do it from the grassroots up, from the people that we know who've been trying, who have been loyal to our plight, then we can't go wrong. But no, nobody. It's not gonna. Someone special has to do this. You know what I'm saying? Someone special, someone that we all love, someone we all agree with, someone who's been loyal to our plight. Otherwise, it's just going to be what it always is.
I'm gonna kick it to you real quick, that Negro, but I gotta read this comment real quick. Love My Folks says the government would employ bank workers and it would be illegal. It would be illegal to only employ us. So she's saying that the government would actually hire the bank workers and it would be illegal to only employ us. So how much of that is true, I don't know, but we would definitely have to be, and this is what you're saying, they have to be loyal. Rera, I agree with you on that. They have to be loyal, but they have to be qualified as well too. You have to have the qualifications and the loyalty have to go hand in hand together. One can't be greater than the other. Okay, you can be just as loyal as you want, but if you're dumb as a stump, then you don't need to be up in there with finances and everything like that too. So loyalty is great, but qualifications and loyalty go hand in hand together. So we would have to have both of those together as well too. So I'm gonna go ahead real quick and kick it to that Negro. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Salute to the host, salute to the co-host, peace, power, and Negro reparations to the room. FBA, Freedmen, Negro, ADOS, does it really matter? Part 2. I definitely think it does. That sister that was just up here talking has some amazing points. If it's a Negro bank, okay, we have to make sure Negroes is running it, just like they said. The Freedmen Bank, I'm sketched out the gate. Why? Because screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. And that's kind of where I'm at. No matter who it is, it's got to be from the gutter, from the streets, from the grass level where it counts. But yeah, the sister before me kind of took the words out of my mouth. So I appreciate her, and I appreciate the space to talk.
All right, appreciate you. Let's go ahead real quick, and we're gonna get to Black Majority. And Brita, go ahead and put your hand back up. I'll get back to you as well too. So, how you doing tonight, Black?
Hello. Good evening, everybody in the space. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. Shout out to DJ and everyone else here. So I only came up to talk about this bank issue because we are now on the precipice of what could have been multiple banks being shut down. The Silicon Bank, some bank called a Signature Bank, and people are essentially predicting that if the feds don't step in and actually guarantee those deposits, that you may see a run on the banks, which essentially means people are trying to pull money out and the banks don't have enough money. And so they have to close, and then it just creates this ripple effect throughout the banking system, much like what Obama faced during his presidency. He kind of inherited that collapse then. And so banking in this country is hyper manipulated, extremely manipulated, all levels. I'm on a Wikipedia site where there's at least 100 banks that have collapsed since 1970 in this country. And so you need to be insured. Obviously, for those who do know and those who don't know, we talk about state-based banking. North Dakota is the only state in the country that has a state-based bank in which it is insured at the state level and likely at the federal level as well. And so for me personally in my finances, as long as you're not over that 250,000 mark in terms of the federally insured a number that they have, you should be protected. However, how long is it going to take if the bank does collapse for the federal government to give you your money back would be my first question. I would prefer to have anything that has, especially if it's like reparations or whatever. Yes, Black people controlling it, but you need to really put that in the state constitution, because you need amendments to the state constitution for all of this to be perfectly honest, because if it's not embedded in their permanent law, it becomes a problem. You open up all these doors and windows for them to manipulate the system. I would really, 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 really hope that people are advocating for state constitutional amendments to protect everything that we're trying to do today, until we get to a place where we actually can control states and we can do it ourselves. But yeah, I mean, the titles are what they are. Use them for what they're worth. Use them for advantages, how you can use them, and then everybody, they're free to self-identify however they choose. I'll end with that.
Okay, made a great point there, Black, as well too. Does anybody know at the time that when you had the Freedmen Bank open, in terms of the actual makeup of who was actually running it, were there any Black people that had any positions of power at the time of the actual, when the Freedmen Bank was open? If anybody knows that, please just let me know, because that's very interesting point that I definitely would like to learn a little bit more about the Freedmen Bank. You heard about the money that was stolen from it, but how much power did Black people really have at the time in terms of actually managing and making decisions with the Freedmen Bank? I know that's an issue that everybody worries about now to this point. Like, hey, if we had it, then what's to say that it wouldn't get hit up the same way as well too? I guess there are no guarantees in anything in life, but I would think to the point that, hey, we're not exactly, basically slaves like we were before. I think it would make it would make a difference to a certain degree as well too. And also, if we had a Freedmen Bank or a Negro Bank, let's just say for the sake of argument, y'all, and I don't want to hear any argument, FBA Bank or ADOS Bank, would those banks be do you come out better by having a private owned bank, or should it be a government ran bank? Exactly how would that go if the reparations come through those type of banks? Would they be privately held, or exactly? That's another issue. I want to know exactly how would these banks be classified? How would they be because somebody made a valid point on YouTube, like if it's a bank and with the way you have all of these discriminations and everything like that, could you just say, hey, I'm basically going to have nothing but Black people employed and running this bank? Is that even possible? You got it, Black.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, back when I wrote my book, I actually touched on this Freedmen's Bank issue, and what happened was, no, Black people weren't in control of the bank. It was white regulators that were controlling the bank, and I had just recently posted, I was trying to find it, about these railroad guys. So it was these railroad guys who eventually set it up to steal the money from the bank in these very sketchy investments from the Freedmen's Bank. They brought Frederick Douglass in after it was already failing. And so, his name is attached to it, but it was already too late at that point. And they were trying to either make him a scapegoat or save face or whatever the case may be. But no, we didn't have control over the situation that caused it to collapse.
Frederick Douglass put his own money into that bank. He put his own money into that bank trying to save it. You know what I mean? He wanted to save it. It was a big deal for him. He put his own money into it. He put I think maybe $10,000 back then, which was a whole bunch of money. He tried to save it, but it was already gone. I remember that story. You're absolutely right. And so that's where, my caution is as well.
All right, Rerod, let me give a shout out to you. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App as well too. And Miss T, she put that Frederick Douglass was the actual owner of the bank as well too. So, and like you said, Black, they put him in basically as a buffer and basically as a fall guy. It looks like towards the very tail end, once everything, it was already pretty much a sinking ship like the Titanic. Miss T, did you want to say anything, sis? I know you came up to speak. Did you want to say anything, Miss T?
Hey, Newstoter. DJ, what's up, family? Hope everybody had a great weekend. I was just going to add that just what Black Majority stated, that Frederick Douglass was actually the president of the bank at that time. And you got to keep in mind, I don't know how many Black people were actually able to sit in those bank positions at that time, how many were educated, how many were trained. But yes, the white people that were in charge, they did take advantage of the situation. And they invested money into the railroad, and the railroad collapsed. But a lot of this information, I'm getting a little bit frustrated because it's like people haven't been paying attention to what's been going on in regards to the California reparations plight. A lot of these questions that you all have, they've been answered if you're just reading the AB 2131, SB 189. The information is there. In that they are talking about the Freedmen's Bank, they are saying that it has to be staffed with Black Americans only. That's part that's been written into it. Now, the person on YouTube, she's correct. It would be considered discrimination. The way that laws are currently, but we are asking that for this situation, the laws be changed. All the laws are going to have to be changed in order for us to get reparations. They can't go by anything that's on the books now. So I just wish everybody, I'm going to post AB 3121, I'm going to post SB 189 so people can go ahead and read it. And like when Dana was on here the other day, she was stating things as if they were fact, and they were not. They were her ideology on what she thought she was reading into it. So it's a little frustrating to sit here and hear you all make comments about things you don't know when it's already written for you. And you still can make suggestions for SB 189 and AB 3121. They're always asking for suggestions. You can write in your suggestions. Contact Chris at CJEC. Nothing is written in stone yet. Not until June do they have to submit it to get ready to go to the state. So y'all please input your suggestions, send them your ideas, and don't give up. Just submit what you think should be included. And with that, I land my plane.
All right. Thank you, Miss T. I will go ahead and kick it to you, Prince. Prince, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, thank you, Newstoter. What up, DJ? So I want to say something. Please don't use Frederick Douglass's name unless you use his words as well. I'm about to quote two things from Frederick Douglass on the Freedmen's Bureau and the Freedmen's Bank. And unless you're quoting Frederick Douglass, don't use his name. So this is what he said to the depositors of the Freedmen's Bank. He said, "It cannot be doubted that a third cause has in large measure operated against the success of the Freedmen's Bank. And this cause happens to be one which is most difficult to deal with, because it is inherent in the enterprise itself, and no wisdom which the managers of the bank can exercise can counteract their memory. This institution conspicuously and preeminently represents the idea of progress and elevation of the people who are now just emerging from the ignorance, degradation, and destitution entailed upon them for more than 2 centuries of slavery. A people who are hated not because they have injured others, but because others have injured them. This feeling of caste, this race malignity, has naturally enough taken about the same offense at the Freedmen's Bank as it did at the existence of the Freedmen's Bureau. It is as desirous to destroy the former as it was to destroy the latter. Then, if you go down to what he says about what the Freedmen Bank actually represents, let me pull up that book because, again, use his actual words, not your interpretation of the past, to tell what he said.
Okay, Prince, real quick. Nobody, I don't think anybody in this space took Frederick Douglass' name and muddied it up anything. All they said that he was a president of the actual bank at one time. So nobody went in here and actually said anything.
Basically, they tried to make Frederick Douglass the fall guy and all these things.
No, they were saying once the bank was actually falling, that they actually installed him in as a president towards the end. But nobody in here was saying anything negative about Frederick Douglass and the actual bank, that he did anything to make it fail.
No. I'm not saying you. I'm saying that. I'm saying it's important to, if we're going to mention Frederick Douglass, that we actually use his words, because what I often hear is in the reference of Frederick Douglass and his relationship with the Freedmen Bank, no one actually brings up his actual words, and this is the most disappointing thing, because he actually talked about the Freedmen's Bureau, talked about the Freedmen Bank, and he actually has a wish for us to continue. So let me pull up this quote so you guys can actually, again, hear what he talked about in terms of what we need to do to move forward. The mission of the Freedmen's Bank is to show our people the road to a share of the wealth and well-being of the world. It has already done much to lift the race into respectability, and with their continued confidence and patient cooperation, it will continue to reflect credit upon the race and promote their welfare. So, I'll share the link to this, but I just want to stress for anyone who, I'm not saying it's everyone here or anything like that. I'm saying in general. When we go back to the knowledge of why Freedmen is important, Frederick Douglass said we need Freedmen's Bureau and a bank. W.E.B. Du Bois said we need a permanent Freedmen's Bureau, bank, the courts, all of that. He even mentioned a labor bureau. The same way they negotiated contracts in the past. And then if you look at the kind of what Martin Luther King Jr. said when he was quoted and said that while we didn't get our 40 acres, other people got the 160 acres from the Homestead Act. The only 2 mentions of our 40 acres in any legislation or any acts of the United States. First, with Special Field Order 15, January 16, 1865. 3 months later, you can get the second mention of 40 acres in the Freedmen's Bureau Act, which was passed by Congress and signed by the President the same day that the Freedmen Bank signed its office. So we need to know our history, and we need to understand that Lincoln, for example, was not assassinated for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. The 14th and 15th Amendment wouldn't come till years after 1865, and the 13th Amendment wasn't even ratified while Lincoln was alive. He was killed 5 weeks after the Freedmen's Bureau and Bank was signed into law. That's why he was killed, because of what that meant. So we need to correct the history on a lot of these things and understand why the Freedmen history is so important. And if we understand our cousins that were enslaved by the 5 tribes, the Creek Freedmen, Choctaw Freedmen, Cherokee Freedmen, Chickasaw Freedmen, Seminole Freedmen, they still identify as that today, and they still have it on their IDs. Says Freedmen citizen, the same way we should understand that we're American Freedmen. And I'll let my plan.
All right, appreciate that. And like I said, I mean, no one in here is arguing against And I guess I asked the question if anybody would have an issue, if we had another Freedmen Bank come today or whatever, and people said, well, it failed back in the day and this and that or whatever. If you're going to have reparations come through, you're going to have some type of banking institution to hold that money. Now, on YouTube, I read the comment says we don't have the means to protect a bureau. We don't need a bureau or a bank for the Treasury to print dollars and cut checks. I agree with half of that statement. We don't actually need a bureau for them to actually, or a bank for them to go ahead and print the dollars and cut the checks. But it would be good to actually have one that we could keep our money in, and keep it in there and help the bank actually grow as well too. We got all our money and stuff in white-owned banks, so why wouldn't we want to go ahead and have a black-owned bank that could help with home loans and mortgage loans and car loans and investments and everything else as well too. So, and we definitely had a means that this ain't 1860 or whatever. We definitely had a means to go out there and actually protect it this time. If somebody decides to come in, that they're going to ransack it. So I agree with half of that statement, Love, that we don't need a bank or a bureau for the Treasury to print the dollars and cut the checks. But I think we actually do need our own banks. When you look at individuals and you look at communities in this country, they have things that we don't have enough of. Yeah, we have some black-owned banks and we have some black-owned credit unions, but we need more. So we definitely need to have some more. We definitely need to have more credit unions and banks as well too out there. So I would definitely feel better. It would be better to me to go ahead taking the money than you going and you putting it into one of these major white-owned banks. As soon as they cut the check, then we taking our dollars and we putting it in there. That kind of defeats the purpose as well too. Why don't we go ahead and take our checks, take our money, and go ahead and put it into a black institution that that we have a say in, the grassroots, the stockholders, and everything else that we're all individual stockholders of. So I don't want to go ahead and take my money. You cut me a $200,000-$300,000 check. $100,000 check, even let's say you cut me $100,000 check, and then I got to take it right around and put it in Bank of America. To me, I'd much rather not do that personally. I'd much rather go ahead and go with something that we all created, something that we all stand for and we're supporting, and go ahead and do it that way. When Jewish people, when they get their money and stuff, they're not just putting it in all kinds. They have their own banks and credit unions and stuff like that. We need to go ahead and do the same thing. We need to go ahead, we get our money and we take it and we make sure that it's being ran properly, being ran the right way. We need to go ahead and take it and put it right in and give it right back to the white man so he can go ahead and get his percentage out, because he is going to get his percentage out. So let's be clear about that. You go ahead and you put that money in a white-owned bank, because they're going to already be looking for ways to tax the dollars and everything else like that too. They are going to go ahead and they're going to get their cut of that money right then and there too. Oh yeah, well they came right back. We told you they was going to come back. So yeah, we need to have the infrastructure in place, y'all. So once these checks do start coming, that you have the car dealerships, you have the real estate companies, you have the land, you have everything that we go ahead, and so we don't have to go ahead and take this, because this will be like the lottery coming for a lot of people again. A lot of these same groups that everybody's complaining about getting the money and stuff. As soon as you get those checks and stuff like that, their eyes are going to just go big. Like, oh, the blacks, they got the money. Oh, let's go ahead. They're going to be waiting with their hands out to get it. So let's go ahead. And if we're going to enrich anybody, let's enrich our damn selves for a change. Let me go ahead to, I'm going to go back to you, Ree-Ra. I'm going to get back to you, Prince. And then I'm going to get to you, Miss T.
Hey, Newstoter, thanks again. I wanted to speak to the part where I think it was the sister who said that if we don't hire white people, then it's going to look like discrimination.
Yeah, that was a comment on YouTube. Yeah.
So, okay, Asians don't hire black people. Mexicans don't hire black people. White people only because they know they have to, and it's written in law. They might hire one or two black people, but there's not just going to be an abundance of black people in any space that's not ran by us. So all I'm saying is if they can find a loophole, then I think that we should be able to find a loophole on such a delicate matter. Like, this is a very delicate matter. This isn't just for us. It's for our children. It's for our ancestors. This is way bigger than all the other, like, all of it. It's way bigger than us. We're just in the middle trying to, like, patch things together, but this is for our ancestors. This is for our children and our children's children. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if every other culture and race can find a loophole to where they don't have to hire no black people and they sell in black communities, why can't we find a loophole? This is a very delicate matter. You know what I mean? This is a very, very delicate matter for us, okay? And yes, we should all be cautious. We should all be thinking twice, okay? We should all be thinking twice and being cautious about where we put our money, period. And I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not something that I shouldn't say. No, we all need to be careful and cautious of where we put our money. We're already being targeted, all eyes on us at all times. We have to be careful. We have to be cautious, and we have to come together and figure out what we need to do. We have to come together and figure out what we need to do, what's best for us, all of us, not just a small amount of us, all of us. And then I think that we'll actually be coming to our collective thoughts are so deep. Our collective thoughts, we put our collective thoughts on something and it happens. It's divisions that's stopping us from getting where we want to go. All we have to do is collectively think about the same thing. It's going to get done. That's why reparations is what it is, because we're all consciously thinking about it all the time. It's on our mind. We deserve it. Our ancestors deserve it. Our children's children deserve it. So it's on our minds all the time. We're collectively thinking about it all the time. That's why it had to die down. So we just have to figure out what works best for all of us. Not a small group of us, all of us, something that we can all agree on and all be happy with. And we can find loopholes to keep everybody else up out our shit. No, we're good. We got a white client and he was good, but then a black client, he came through and his resume was better. I did what was best for my business, like everybody else does. And I let my plan.
All right.
And then right quick.
Go ahead.
So I filed a case with the EEOC, right? Y'all know who those bitch niggas is. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. So you cannot sue a corporation on a classification of race for the most part, especially if that particular business is an at-will company. At-will, which most companies are, especially if you've been in retail all your life like I have. This is why I don't work. Because I actually know the business of all that. I could go run Walmart and Target and all that other shit. But why not take the same skill and apply it to my own business? And if I have a product and an idea and the talent, like we was talking about last night, Brother Black Majority was mentioning HaHa Davis, how he kept grinding with the content. It ain't no money up here in this digital shit. You gotta force your way into the shit because not a part of the machine. So the same situation with the banks, right? Okay, these banks is failing. This is why months ago, and I already knew this because of the COVID shit. Take your money out of the bank, Unless only keep it there if it's a black bank. Straight up, take your money out the bank and move it to a black bank. I don't think that's hard. Now, I'm not around a lot of black banks, but that shouldn't be an excuse for me either. Not to at least go open up an account, like Sister Who Did You Boycott say. Imagine if we all go open up an account at some black bank and just keep whatever the bare minimum deposit is if you can afford it. And even if you got to get that surcharge of $7 a month, that's what I've been getting hit with late because I don't have income coming in. You know what I mean? I'm out here hustling just like any other Joe. So with that being said, go open up an account anywhere at a black bank. And I'm going to go do that. I'm going to keep my word on it. And I'm going to do that shit tomorrow because I already pretty much took my money out of my bank. That was some real shit. I'm just, I guess Kanye floating around with money with nowhere to put the shit except under the mattress. Feel me? Old school style, and that's not a bad idea too. Go get that safe. Go get that Century safe, fireproof. You know what I'm saying? Bury that shit in the yard. You know what I'm saying? Fill it up and bury it somewhere. Only tell the motherfucker you really love where that shit is at. You know what I mean? Or yield it in your will to your lawyer and have it handed down to your kinfolk. Hey, the stash under the doghouse, man. You know what I'm saying? And, that's all the bread, so make sure y'all use it up right. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. Other thing is too, we got our brother Tech Center for Life. We talk about these assurances. This is how they've been able to flip the game on us, man. First, it was cash is king, and then it went to credit. But credit is a learning curve. You never taught us that in school, even from regardless if it was from K to 12 or you went on to college. If it wasn't for you to be a financier, you didn't learn what credit was. Why? Because cash is king. And now here they how they flip it in the game. Everything's gone digital. Crypto. If you ain't learning about crypto, you're gonna say, oh well, you should have had all this time. You could have learned it. It's 50 years into the future of crypto. You ain't learned. No, because cash is king. See what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, go take your bread out of the bank and go put it somewhere else. And if Chase Bank, Jamie Dimon, how you doing? How you doing? You know what I mean? Can kick Kanye, who's a fucking billionaire, out of their bank because he said something that wasn't anti-Shemitic. You feel me? We are the Shemites. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who them other crackernakers is at the end of the day. So with that being said, it don't even matter. Go take your bread out that bank, you know what I'm saying? Go shift it to another bank that is worthy. This is how we start. This is what Dr. Claude Anderson has always been saying about powernomics, aka group economics. If we start just pulling our own weight around each other, we gonna fucking make it like Jadakiss. You know what I'm saying? And it's really that fucking simple, you know what I mean? But again, what you were saying, Rerah, about it don't matter what we call ourselves and all that other stuff. It really fucking don't, because that's nonchalant, non-argumentative stuff. This is just up there versing each other. But we already know what it is. So now, starting tomorrow, since it's Monday, what we waiting on, yo?
All right. Let me go ahead. I'm going to get to Prince, and then I'm going to get to Miss T. Prince, go ahead and hold your mic. DJ, hold it down 1 second for me, too.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just want to ask people who think we don't need a bureau or a bank, who is going to issue out the money and who is going to verify the lineages. It's not our own institutions. Like, I hear the biggest pushback against the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank is that that we won't be running it or something like that, when we can run it and it can be solely and exclusively ran by us. And then I hear those same people say, we don't want that because we think that whatever, the Freedmen are going to take our money now. Instead, we want our money and our lineage being verified by white institutions. Like, I'm trying to figure out how people are imagining going. The thing I hear the most is that the IRS is somehow going to do it like they did the COVID checks, but the COVID checks were sent out based on income, not based on lineage. So are you saying you want the IRS to verify lineages now, and you want non-black people, non-people who qualify for reparations verifying lineages? So it's two schizophrenic ideas that don't make sense. Either they're against the Freedmen's Bureau or bank. The Freedmen's Bureau, for example, verifying the lineages and the banks distributing the money, and instead they think magically that somehow the Treasury Department are going to do those things, and they're not going to be done by white people. So if someone can explain that to me, I would love to hear.
Well, at the end of the day, I can't explain it because I don't want to feel like I'm speaking for all our people. But again, like Rerah said, and that's what I was trying to piggyback off. So basically, we need to find our loopholes, fam, because this is what they do for a living. Yeah, they create the laws, and they had their other cousins find loopholes around those laws. So why can't we do the same thing? So the way Sister broke it down was real simple and shit. Hey, yeah, you came in for a job, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, there's Black American Negro freedmen over here, you know what I mean? Brother Prince was way smarter than you know what I'm saying? And he probably didn't have to pay a college to get in for free when ain't stupid. He actually had to study for a SAT test to get in the fucking school. So don't forget the college admission scandal. Don't forget that, y'all know what I'm saying? So with that being said, do we really need these people? At the end of the day, yeah, they may own everything and own most of the land, but that shouldn't stop us from trying to work together now. So when we talk about our reparations, hey, look, this is why they be saying, oh, what's the purpose of giving it to them when all they're going to do is give it back to the white man? That is fucking true, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't own anything. So basically all this conversation and AKA HR 40, a fucking study that ain't got nothing to do with no cash payments. I need my check, Shilling Jackson Lee. You know what I'm saying? We're knocking the Cobra homies ain't gonna fucking take this shit from us. So with that being said, hey, look, y'all starting tomorrow. Y'all asses need to go start a business, yo. Y'all need to go LLC yourself. incorporate yourself. You know what I mean? So that way you can start using these loopholes, like Sister said. You know what I mean? Put that on the T-shirt, Brother Moko. Using these loopholes to start retaining most of our money. Same way Trump do. Everybody mad at Trump because he pulling the tax moves and shit. Why you player hating? Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? That's what we used to say, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game. You know what I'm saying? So you can't hate on him because he found a way to withhold his money. Same thing with all these politicians. They ain't supposed to be playing on stock market. Ain't that against the law? So how they coming up off all these stock options and all this other shit? Man, we need to smarten up because we moving too slow, in my opinion. But I ain't really got an answer for you, bro. I think that just really, need to listen to all people that are scholarly more and who are experts surrounding reparations. Yeah, we can name a bunch of names, but until they and us collectively get together and stop with the bickering of ADOS, Freedmen, Negro, we ain't gonna get no reparations. So it wouldn't even matter who running the Freedmen Bureau.
Okay, I just got back. So did Prince? It was Prince go. Did Prince go? He went, right. So it was then Miss T, and then
I wasn't sure if the brother wanted to rebuttal that or whatever. But
yeah, I can add a little bit and just pass it on. But I agree with you for the most part. Like, I think it is important that we all come together. Like I said, like if you want to go with FBA or ADOS, I don't think there's anything wrong with self-identifying as that, just like there is with Negro or Freedmen. But we also, like the loophole that Reba is talking about, the loophole is Freedmen because it's the only thing that is defined as something that's not essentially race-based. The original definition in the Freedmen Bank Charter that was passed by Congress, signed by the president, it says persons heretofore held in slavery in the United States or their descendants. That was the first lineage-based policy we've ever had in this country. And if we understand the value of that, we can use it again as a loophole, not only to keep the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank solely ran by us, but also solely the only depositors.
Hey, real quick, because I saw a comment and it was saying that and I missed it because I stepped off for a second. It says, Daughter Zion says, so now people are saying that we're schizo if we don't go by Freedmen. I missed that part. That if somebody said that if we don't go by Freedmen, we schizo or something, or what?
No, I was explaining that there's a schizophrenia in the reparations community of people that are detractors of like a Freedmen's Bureau in the bank. Like they say two things. They say, well, we don't want a Freedmen's Bureau or bank because those failed and they'll be taken over by white people, blah, blah, blah. And instead of realizing that in the actual legislation, we can have it done by us, for us. And then they say, well, instead of that, we want the IRS who did the COVID checks to do the same thing with the reparations checks. And they say, well, we basically want the Treasury Department and the IRS to do our checks somehow that are going to verify lineage when these are white people at these institutions primarily. So it's schizophrenic because at the same time that they say they don't want the Freedmen's Bureau in the bank, they say they want their money from the IRS and the Treasury Department, which are white people. So that's schizophrenic.
Real quick.
Can I say something? Right quick?
Real quick, Rerod. I'm real quick. Well, go ahead, Rerod, because I want to ask him something real quick. So let me ask him this right here. So Prince, let me ask you a question. And like based on the title of the room and stuff, is it possible? Do you see yourself possibly working with somebody who considers themselves FBA or Negro or ADOS? Is that possible? Is that something that could be worked out, that you could come across the aisle in your beliefs and you can actually meet with somebody halfway?
If they understand the way to the bag is through not only legislative precedents, but understanding that we can't use race-based policies and we definitely can't use trademarks. Like you can self-identify all you want. Like the example that no one has talked about and no one has put in the Jumbotron as the title is the word nigga. Nigga, as we all know, is a term that we self-identify as, we use in conversation, but we understand it's supposed to only apply to us, right? We understand that. But is anybody advocating to the OMB to make nigga the designation on the OMB for us? Is anybody advocating for nigga reparations? No. And the reason is for the same reason you need
well, nigga, to be serious. Yeah, but be honest now. Nigga is considered a racial epithet, and there's a lot of black people now. Let's be honest too. A lot of black people 50 years and younger may identify with nigga, but a lot of older black people take serious offense when they hear the word nigga. Just to keep it a buck. There's a lot of black people in this country that. But no. That's not true, bro. I gotta say that. No, I can't. I honestly no, I can't. Hold on, Prince. Hold on. No. Because when niggas start becoming really popularized, and let's be for real, we want to be honest, the word nigga really started getting thrown around a lot in the 70s and a lot of those black exploitation movies, but it really exploded in the late 80s, in the 90s with rap music. If we're gonna be real, and a lot of hood movies and stuff like that. There's a lot of black people in this country that got offended and took offense to the word nigga being thrown around like that. A lot of black people did not have an issue with being called Negro, but they felt that black was an actual better identifier. But a lot of black people in this country, and it was a time in this country too. And I can remember being young that when a black person called another black person a nigga, they called him a nigga as a complete insult. When they called you a nigga, they thought of you as being nothing but the lowest, the commonator, a pure ignorant fool. When they called you a nigga, they said, look at this nigga coming up and down the street, bobbing and walking up in here talking about he pimping. Look at this ignorant nigga coming up and down the street like that. So no, we can't sit up here. If you have black people go up here and talk, we're gonna use niggas to identify. You're talking about really starting some shit up here. To be honest, no, I can't say that, bro. That's not true. There's been a whole lot of black people in this country that did not like the term nigga, don't like the term that especially that a lot of Generation Z, Generation X started really take off with the word nigga and stuff like that as well too. So no, it's a difference. We have to be honest here. Even though we say nigga, I said it growing up, we talked about it, whatever. No. It's a big difference between nigga and Negro. Just to be honest, and some of our biggest, most legendary teachers, Dr. King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, they all identified as Negro, but you ain't never once heard them say, I'm a nigga, ever, and sit up here with proud and put their chest out, yeah, I'm a nigga. So no, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get on that, bro. But no, I have to check you on that one there. No, hell no.
So you actually helped in my argument, because my point in bringing it up is that you had people like, we got color, mulatto, Afro, African, Black, Negro, and then
all means Black American. All means us.
Right, but now you got FBA and ADOS as well, right? My point with the traditional ones is you'll have some percentage of the 42 million descendants of slaves in this room, or in the country rather. You'll have some percentage of them that don't like one of those racial terms, right? And in addition to that, you still can't use race-based terms to get any legislation passed at the federal level. It's just not going to happen. And so when we understand
Asians have an Asian hate crime.
Let him go, Rerod. I'm gonna let you go.
Please don't bring up the Asian hate crime bill, because we read that in our space. And if you read the actual bill, which is like literally a page long, it does not just talk about Asians. In fact, they try to pass it off as a black bill as well, if you actually read the whole thing. And the point in bringing this up is that it is not a bill solely for Asians. I could put the bill in the Jumbotron. We can read the bill right now in this space if you really want to have that conversation. But please don't take this. Called the COVID-19 hate crime bill. First of all, the Asian hate crime bill is the name the media gave it. And if anybody, again, has read the bill, it is not just about Asians. So let's please stop that. And
I'm not getting no special treatment.
Go ahead, Rerod.
You may not think you are, but the bill applies to not just Asians. So anyway,
now I've seen a bill. I've seen a bill about the Island Pacificer, and Asians and everything else that didn't have anything to do with anybody else other than them.
No, it's not. We can pull up the bill right now. We can read through the actual bill, and it's not just about anyone who does that is intellectually dishonest. Put it in the Jumbotron, read it right now.
I'm saying, so there's no bill specifically that there's nothing entitled at all that has something to do with Island Pacific.
The only bills that has actually happened are the Freedmen's Bureau and the Bank Act, where the Freedmen's Bank, for example, is only solely for us on the basis of not race, of not gender, of not any of these things that
know what that definition means, and we know it applies to us, and we can't repeat this by using race-based language. We have to go back to language like that. That's the only solution. That is the loophole.
Can I go now?
Go ahead.
Hold on, I thought it might be in the
Yeah, I was kind of in the matrix for a second. Who just said that? I couldn't hear.
Miss T.
Okay, Miss T, and then Rera, I'm gonna let you go after her. So go ahead, Miss T.
Okay. Thank you, Prince. If you can, please post the COVID-19 hate crime bill so that it can be read, because it's not specifically for Asians. And to respond to what I am Rera was saying about Asians hiring Asians and Hispanics hiring Hispanics. Okay, they are not federally funded. Okay, they receive their funds from Asian communities and Asiatic countries like Japan and Philippines and all of that. They don't have federal funds, which means they don't have to hire people from all walks of life. Hispanics get their funds for their banks as well from other Latin communities, other Hispanic communities. They do not receive federal funds from the U.S. government. If they did, we could sue them because they were not hiring us. But since they don't have federal funds in their banks, that started their banks, they're free from that. Okay, and to back up what Black Majority was saying, I did post in the Jumbotron, and this is an actual video where you can hear the Federal Reserve laughing at us because they know what was there. This was a month ago that Redacted posted this conversation that was recorded secretly by the members of the Federal Reserve. They're laughing because they're trying to let the rich parties, the very wealthy, know to get their funds out now. And so I'm saying to you what DJ has said and what everybody else has said. Get your money out there, bank. If you have more than $250,000 in a bank, you're good for $250,000. But over $250,000, they gonna count that as a loss. Move your money around. Look at that video, y'all. Don't worry about what anybody says or what you see in print. Listen to what you hear. These folks are getting ready to have a serious situation, and we are going to be left behind again because they are protecting the very, very, very wealthy. Also, I did go ahead and post AB 3121 for you all to read for yourself. And even in the beginning, they state they know that incorrect information is going around. So please, y'all, don't listen to people who have listened to naysayers, and then they just promulgate this information. It's lies. It's not true. It's false. And then your ideas, please submit them. Just like with the OMB. I think the 17th, we have until the 17th, I think it's Thursday, to submit your voice. Make your voice heard. Nobody is trying to do anything behind anybody's back. The Freedmen are not trying to do anything that I see because they are putting the information out here. You have an opportunity. Your voice can be heard. Submit your information. Submit your thoughts. And please get your money out these damn banks. If you need a Black Bank United, I forgot the name of it, but I'm going to post a few Black banks. We have a lot of them here in Atlanta. We got Citizens Trust. I forget the other one. You got United. Shit, I can't remember that one. But I'm gonna post some and move your money around. If you got $250 in Bank of America, and then you got another $250 in Citizens Trust, good. But anything over $250, get your money. Please get your money. And with that, I land my plane.
All right, thank you, Miss T. Let's go ahead and get to Reraw. Anybody wants to speak to, raise your hand and we'll get to you.
Hey, thank you for the space. No, I don't have a problem with Freedmen. I think you guys are misconstruing what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with Freedmen. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with any of the terms. I just want to make sure that it is us. And if you guys can guarantee that this Freedmen Bank will be ran by Black Americans, you know what I mean? That's a completely different story. I don't have a problem with Freedmen. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone genuinely has a problem with Freedmen. We're just trying to make sure that we are okay. Because in the end, whenever we do something big, everybody else is okay. But we're not. And it's clear we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because I'm tired of us getting everything started for everybody else and everybody wins except for us. This time around, this is for us. This is for us. I don't have a problem with Freedmen at all. I appreciate all the shit that you guys are doing. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to come off as like being anti-Freedmen or any of that crazy stuff. No. I don't have a problem with you guys. I appreciate everything that every single one of us is doing. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot. Secure the tribe, fucking Freedmen, Negro, Aboriginal, everybody on this app, you know what I'm saying, is trying to do things in their own way that make a difference to them in their own lives. And all the fuck we should do is support each other and not make a mockery of what each other are doing in front of anybody else, because they are taking advantage of our weakest link. They're taking advantage of our weakest link. We have to show solitude in this moment, right now, even if it takes another 5 years. Francis Welsing said, the best thing that you can do is not talk back about another Black person. I went to her lecture before she passed, probably like 4 months before she passed. I was blessed to go to one of her lectures, and she stayed 2 hours after just to take questions and answer questions. And she was a beautiful person. She had a beautiful spirit. And one thing that I took from me is she said we should not talk about each other to anybody else. Whatever we're going through, we're going through. Nobody else should know. Period. And I'll land with there.
Thank you, Miss T. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rera. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, sister. Miss Thinker, I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to say something, or you put it down, or did you want to speak?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. If any of these names, FBA, Freedmen, ADOS, I do think those we WWEing on these names, which terms we, I do think it's causing havoc with these names. But the thing I have a problem with is the word Negro or Black. We used those terms in the 60s, and we never gotten rights or reparations. And the people throwing it out there saying, that word is the right term. In paper form, that's not the right term. But yeah, I don't think these names it's just it's like we keep on fighting which one to use, like FBA, Freeman, ADOS, and it's not making the situation any better. And we just need to just come together and find what's really important is the nationality. You have to find the nationality, your tribal state, everything, because that's how you're gonna get reparations. You cannot get reparations using fake names, like slave names. like what they call us, Black Negro, or you can't not use those names because those are the names that the people, like white people, used to use and the Portuguese used to use before. So we're never gonna get reparations until we find out our real nationality, which we have to find through, because it's never gonna work. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question, Miss Thinker. Exactly what name, in your opinion, do you think we should use?
Pardon me?
In your opinion, what name do you think Black people in this country should use in terms of the reparations fight? What name do you think we should use going forward?
That's the problem. That's why I said that we have to find our nationality first, because those Negro, Black is what they nicknamed us. They tagged us Black or Negro. That's what I'm saying. You're never gonna get real reparations until we find an identity. That's the problem. We need to find out our identity.
Well, what happens if it takes us 100 years to find our actual real identity?
It's gonna be hard because I mean.
So you're saying let me just get this
generation wise, because we're never gonna get reparations because those name tags to Negro Black are not the real official names of like they called us that name.
So you're saying let me
they're gonna say, they're gonna give
real quick, Miss Thing, real quick. Hey, real quick. So you're saying that? Hold on, real quick. Hey, Rerod, real quick. Hey, real quick. I think I had my phone. I had my actual I was on mute myself. But so you're saying until we actually come. So if it takes us 50 to 75 years, you don't think we should actually worry about reparations until we actually find our true nationality? Is what you're saying?
No, I do think we need to find out reparations, but our true tribal name, everything is what we need to focus on, because those nicknames are not working. Like Negro, Black, or because in paper form, we are Black, or like it changed from Black, and then they stopped using Negro in the 60s. So we used Negro before, but we still didn't get our reparations.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too. Now, if you can go ahead and prove, and we said this in the last space, I personally believe this, no matter what you call yourself, if you can prove that your family was an actual descendant of chattel slavery in this country, I don't think it really matters what you call yourself personally. Now, I know people say you have to file this under this name or whatever, but the most important thing, more so than whatever name you call yourself, because right now we're listed as either African Americans or maybe Black Americans. But here's the thing: whatever you call yourself, whatever you talk about filing under or whatever, if you're not an actual descendant of American chattel slavery, then you have no right to even try to get reparations. So that's going to kill it all. So you can sit up here and say you're a Negro. You can sit up here and say I'm a Black American. You can sit up here and say I'm a Freedman, an FBA, ADOS. I'm a Native Black American. I'm this, I'm that. As long as your paperwork matches, it's going to really, it's still, that's the most important thing.
But that's a name tag. That's not.
But I'm talking about your lineage roots, though, sister. I'm saying I know what you're talking about. A name. Everything is a name. Every name that we have on this earth, somebody named it. Some man named it. Whether we're talking about the sand, the ground, the tree, the earth, the moon, whatever it is, it was created by a man. It was a construction of a man's mind. So whatever we call, and that includes tribes as well too.
So you don't think we should find our real tribe?
I think more important than finding our real name and our tribe or whatever is trying to go ahead and get this reparation thing pushed forward. I think that's the most important thing. Let me go ahead and push the reparation thing forward, and then we can find the tribe and this and that and our lineage. And
but that's not, the name tags are not direct lineage to the reparations. That's what I'm saying.
The direct lineage is your bloodline. That's the direct tie to the reparation. See, me, I know for a fact that I got a great grandfather that fought in the American Spanish Army. I know that on my mom's side that they come from the Bamas and stuff like that, Alabama and those states, Louisiana, those states like that. So I already know on both sides of my family that the bloodline goes back to the actual plantations here in the deep South. So I already know that. So whatever we call ourselves, it's just a name to me personally. And yeah, it's important. It's important to have your name and your paperwork and all that straightened out as well too. But like I said, if you have no actual heritage lineage tying back to that, because we're still talking about, you're talking about nationality. A nationality is still a name given to you. Your tribe, your nationality, your ethnic group, your religion, all that is still a name.
Not really. It's the slave traders actually gave us the name Black.
But yeah, but would you not agree that even if the slave traders, would you not agree that the people in Africa, whatever tribe you talk about, the Igbo or whoever, that at one time a man came up and said, hey, you know what? This is going to be the name of our tribe here. This is going to be the name of our nation kingdom, our nation state.
But they know the Africans said they don't want to be called Black or Negro because they know their tribal roots. That's what I'm saying. They know who they are, and that's what they get their reparations from, because they know who they are. We need to know who we are to get a direct explanation.
We know who we are, sister. We're Black Americans. We're descendants of slaves in this country. Whether you want to say we African Americans, Black Americans, we want to say we Negro, we Freedmen, we FBA, we ADOS. We know that we are the descendants of chattel slavery in the United States of America, that our descendants, our ancestors built this country up from scratch. They built the colonial America up from scratch as well, too. So they fought in the Civil War. They fought in the Revolutionary War.
What happens if your family, just in, like, for example, what happens if your family's Igbo or whatever? You still have to find.
You say, what happens if your family? Wait. Please say that one more time. You say, what happens if your family's what?
Igbo, like from Africa, whatever.
Your family, once your family came to this country after a generation or so, they were no longer Igbo. They were just another nigga in the plantation field in America.
500 years.
I disagree.
Well, I disagree with you saying as well.
Anything African.
Because nobody after 2-3 generations, after 2-3 generations, nobody was saying that they were Igbo over here in this country. Because you know why? Because it got beaten out of them. That's why they had to work. They had to become what they actually were.
Let's say if you have a Black nationality in this United States and you have an Indian, let's say Cherokee or something, that you're supposed to name that in your paper form, not Black or Negro. Because Negro is a Spanish name.
That's not necessary. You just have to prove that you have lineage back to one ancestor who was a victim of chattel slavery here in the United States. Whatever you got else in your body, that's a separate claim for you. If you Cherokee, if you whatever, you file a separate claim. That has nothing to do with our claim for reparations for chattel slavery here in the United States. You're adding too much. You're doing too much. Just let it stay. You got one relative. You got one ancestor. That's all you need right now.
Because white people do it differently. They know their direct lineage. But that's what I'm saying.
We've been doing it differently from white people.
You're supposed to know your nationality in order to get reparations.
Okay, sister, it seemed like you're trying to like push the goalpost all the way back to the bleachers in the stadium. I'm not exactly. To me, it seems like you're trying to come up with a reason for the reparation thing to actually stall. You're sitting up here, everybody's telling you the same thing. You can talk about, yeah, but sister, all you have to do, and Miss T said it, and I said it. I'm going to mute everybody for a second because I got to say this. Miss T said it. I said it. Everybody in here is of the same mindset. All you have to do is prove that you had a descendant of you're a descendant of chattel slavery. You're sitting up here and you're talking about, well, the nationality and this and that or whatever. First off, we're Americans, okay? We're Americans. Everybody in here that if you're a descendant of chattel slavery, you're actually American, okay? So that is our nationality right now that we know. We can't go back further than the actual American nationality. I have no idea what my 50th generation great grandfather was from. I have no idea because that history was lost. What I do know is that These people are Americans. They built this country up. They fought in all the wars, that they're entitled to reparations simply for the fact that they are descendants of chattel slavery. I am a descendant of chattel slavery. My parents are, my grandparents are, my aunts, my uncles, my sister, my cousins. Everybody that I'm kin to are descendants of American chattel slavery. Now, it just seems to me like you're just actually trying to complicate. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like you're just trying your best to complicate it and put, well, we can't do this until we get our national. Well, I know my nationality. I'm an American. I'm a Black American. I'm a Black American whose family was enslaved in this country. So that makes me a person that's putting a reparation claim out. All this other stuff about Igbo and if you're Native American and this and that or whatever, that's all fine and good. They can go ahead and request their reparations as well too. But I know good and well what my family comes from. I know my bloodline, and I know it goes back a certain amount. I don't need to worry about 5,000 years ago. I'm worried about the past 200 years ago, which I can prove that my family were descendants of slaves in this country. So all that other stuff, I really, not to be disrespectful to you, sister, but it just seems like I said, you're just pushing this thing to the point that it seems like you're looking for a reason not to actually get the reparations personally. It seems like you're coming up with all this stuff about this person, that person, and whatever. Everybody knows that, hey, in order to get this, whatever name, and that's one thing we're talking about, in order to get this, you have to be a descendant of American chattel slavery. Okay, people might have come over here as Igbo and all of the other tribes and stuff like that from West Africa, but hey, after a generation or two, and them putting that whoop on their ass over here and picking cotton and doing and out here working in swamps and everything else, and on these creating railroads and building houses and building universities, after getting whooped routinely, getting their legs cut off, their hands chopped off, women getting babies ripped out of them and everything else, kids being sold. Whatever culture you had before then, that got thrown out into the trash can. You had to survive. So I don't know what this sister's talking about today. I'm not trying to be rude, but goddamn, what are we talking about? Jesus. Prince, go ahead and unmute your mic. Lord have mercy. What are some of these Black people talking about?
Let me say this. So I put in the definition from the Freedmen's Bank. It says persons heretofore held in slavery in the U.S. or their descendants. If you meet that definition, persons heretofore held in slavery in the United States or their descendants, if you meet that definition, you are owed reparations. And when we talk about lineage-based reparations and what we have to use in terms of getting it passed, that would be a perfect thing to reuse. We've seen in other task forces, they say 1900s, 1865, they put in all the states. This didn't have any date in it because it was very clear. Now, the only thing I would say is if you think you're owed our reparations and you don't meet this definition, I have a problem with that. But in terms of this definition, we can use. Now, the whole definition of reparations, there's 5 definitions in terms of how the UN defines restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and discontinuation of harms. Now, when we talk about those definitions, we have to ask, well, what are we going to restore? What are we compensating? What are we rehabilitating and satisfying and discontinuing, for example? Well, in the restitution part, even though we don't need to use the word, say, freedmen, we can use the persons heretofore held in slavery in the U.S. or the descendants for the lineage-based definition. Restitution includes restoring the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank. And if you say that's not true, then the question you have to ask yourself is, what is going to give you the 40 acres? Because the 40 acres was mentioned in the Freedmen's Bank or Bureau Act, and there was about $1.3 trillion stolen from the Freedmen's Bank. That money needs to be returned and restored or compensated for. So even though we don't need to use, again, the Freedmen word, we can use the Freedmen definition as the lineage base. We should not discount restoring and compensating for the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank, because our 40 acres are a part of that. If you want your 40 acres, because otherwise, what are you basing reparations on? What are you basing it on? What you're owed? What are you basing it on? Everyone talks about our 40 acres in the community. So just want to add that.
All right, appreciate that, Prince. Let's go ahead and get to I know Miss T had her hand up real quick. I see Heavenly came up here. Heavenly, did you want to say something real quick? You there, Heavenly? Okay, maybe she may be having some issues. Heavenly, did you want to say anything real quick? You came up to speak. I don't know if you may want to speak anything. I can't get Heavenly, so let me go ahead and get back to we'll go to Miss T. We'll go to
I
Black.
just had a quick question for Prince in regards to that $1.3 trillion. If that $1.3 trillion is refunded to the Freedmen's Bank, would that be considered federal funding? And the reason why I ask, if it's repayment and not considered federal funding, then that would negate us having to follow their employment rules, correct?
So let me clarify. So one, restitution again includes restoring the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank, and then the legislative acts of those institutions, the money that was in the Freedmen's Bank and the 40 acres that was going to be doled out via the Bureau to all loyal freedmen. If y'all really want to go there, we can talk about that. But the point is, doing it today, we would, there's not enough tax revenue. The government's tax revenue is about $4.1 trillion last year. That's not enough to pay even Dairy's $14 trillion bill with tax revenue. So whenever the government funds something not via tax revenue, they sell bonds. And basically, the Treasury Department sells bonds, and the Federal Reserve buys those bonds and credits the Treasury Department with the equivalent amount of money. So when COVID happened, that's what happened. The $14 trillion that was doled out in COVID, the U.S. Treasury Department sold $14 trillion worth of Treasury bonds. They bought $7 trillion worth, and private and public institutions bought the other $7 trillion. So that's how it works when you're dealing with large amounts of money, like the amount of money that will be reparations. But then when we get to specific details, you have the restoration of the Freedmen's Bureau of the bank and the money. And some people I talked to people like Katie has an ancestor who had money at the Freedmen Bank. Her son had an ancestor who had money at the Freedmen Bank. Marcel had an ancestor who had money at the Freedmen Bank. The money, the 1.3 trillion, will go back to those who had their money stolen. It's about 100,000 freedmen that had their money stolen. But the institution itself will be restored for all freedmen. And the same with the Bureau.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clearing that up. And y'all, please follow Prince, because he has an algorithm worked out where he can plug in your age and tell you based on the amount that we are issued, either 6 million or 16 million. He can tell you based on your age what amount your first check would be, and then each check after that up until the age of 75. This man has done the work. He has done the work on what cities, counties, states we could run as Black people and have a good chance of winning the election. So please, and he also does courses if you want to run for office. So this is a good, and I'm amazed at his youth, at his age, but this man has done the work. Follow him, tell him your age. When he tell you how much your first check gonna be, I promise you, you're gonna be motivated. And with that, I land my plane.
Yeah, real quick. Also, guys, go ahead in the Jumbotron, and in the Jumbotron, let me see on which side. Go ahead and subscribe to the Newstoter YouTube channel. That's the third to the right. Go ahead and subscribe to the Newstoter YouTube channel. Also, our newsletters in the Jumbotron as well, too. So please go ahead, if you can, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the newsletter. Also, if you can, support us on Cash App, Newstoter. That is $Newstoter. Once again, that is $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, largest Black American-owned news media curation today platform in America. Once again, that is $Newstoter. Remember that we are the largest Black-owned, Black American-owned. So let me specify that the largest Black American-owned as well news media curation here in America today. So if you can support us on Cash App, if you don't have Cash App, we have a Venmo and PayPal up in the jumbotron. For our people on YouTube, those links are in the actual description as well too. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to Miss T, you already went. So who's Black majority state, Black majority state. So Black, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, DJ had his hand up before me. I don't know if he's waiting to go or what.
Nah, he'll let you go.
Okay, all right, that's cool. So, I've been posting down in the chat, and I just want to reiterate what I said earlier. And actually, there's a little more clarification. It's crazy when I know I posted something, I had the story, I can't search my account to find the link. I can't even Google the link. It's frustrating, but I did find two stories. One, and this is what collapsed the bank. First National Bank offloaded its liabilities onto Freedmen's Bank's books with the consent of an all-white, all-male board of trustees. They modified the bank's original charter, ending the requirement that the deposits be invested only in government-backed securities. So that was essentially the death knell. When they did that, that was in, I think the bank collapsed in 1874. This was like 1871 or so. So within 3 years after that, they basically extorted, embezzled, whatever term you want to use, the bank. There's also this Henry D. Cook, who was a white businessman and a politician who approved an unsecured loan to his, it's some type of a quarry business. And again, there also were these railroad barons, but for some reason, I'm having a hard time finding their names to list them. But I'm gonna find it, and if the space is still up, I'll post it down there as well. In terms of the book, in terms of the Frederick Douglass, after all of this had already occurred, and they opened the bank wide up, essentially to be vulturized, right? So this is how the regulation in the country operates. They set up regulation, and this is why they're blaming Trump now for what happened in the Silicon Bank, because Trump got rid of this regulation that supposedly would have prevented that from happening, because it would have made their books operate a certain way. When they got rid of the regulation, they're saying this happened. The same thing occurred then. There also was this major recession that occurred in 1873, 1874, which put all this pressure on the Freedmen's Bank. And so you could say, and this is the way I feel about this country, they manipulate markets, they manipulate the currency in ways that they know and they understand what's going to occur. They're not stupid people, to be pretty frankly honest about the situation. So whatever we set up, just make sure you also set up the protection for it. That's all that I'm really, really advocating for, is to protect whatever you build.
Can I respond to that, Rick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so in terms of the history, you're basically correct. To give you a little bit more, the guy, Jay Cook, he owned the bank that you mentioned and offloaded the losses from his bank onto the Freedmen's Freedmen's Bank. And then not only did he do that, the 1873 crash was due to poor investments into railroad companies where they were building tracks alongside of each other, competing tracks for no reason. And all of those investments were spurred by people like Cook. He was a crook. And you can look up his history and all the shady deals and things that he's done. And then in terms of like the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank and how, again, all these things can be done today, Yes, you're right. Actually, in 1874, there was no FDIC insurance, right? FDIC insurance wasn't created until the 1900s. So, of course, the Freedmen Bank would be FDIC insured and would have the full faith of the government. So that's also important to understand. So, yeah, definitely.
Hey, Toter, do you mind if I ask Prince a question? Really, really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I respect the chairwoman, Ms. Camilla Moore, and she was in last Newstoter space, and I asked her a question, and I fundamentally believe that she presented the protectionist argument in a very highly educated way, and I could buy into it. Why you need to create the Freedmen's Bureau in California? I'm on board with it. However, I want to ask you this because I don't live in California. I haven't taken the time to look into it. But, I live in Pennsylvania. So in my state, I pay state taxes, right? It's every once in a while I'll get a return from the state, and they just print a state tax return, right? Whenever they had this money that came out of the COVID money, and they were passing out, basically COVID stimulus money. The money went to the state, and the state distributed to the people within the state, their citizens. So when I first got into this movement and started understanding how it was operating on Twitter, everybody was saying, cut the check, just give us a check, direct cash payments. And so what is it that is, and I heard about the CBOs and all these other organizations. I kind of get how that infrastructure is set up. But why couldn't the California Treasury simply issue the same checks that they issue to state employees in this reparations movement? To make it very, very simple.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a good question, but it's a schizophrenic answer. People will say, well, if you want the state, for example, the state treasury or whatever you said, to issue the check, then the question you have to ask yourself is, how were the COVID checks handed out? And there's two things you have to be clear about. Firstly, things like PPP loans and things like unemployment checks, those were handled on the bank. The PPP loans were handled primarily through banks, and the unemployment was handled at a state basis. But the 1,200 checks, that came through the IRS. So I want to clarify that. But when you're talking about, why can't California just hand the checks out directly? Why do we need a bureau or a bank or anything like that? The question you still have to answer is, who is going to verify the lineage of the person receiving the check? And if you say that's supposed to be the same institution like the California Treasury Department or something like that, then again we get into the schizophrenia, which is, well, you say you don't want a Freedmen's Bureau and bank because you think it's going to be taken over and abused or whatever, even though we can now have it for us, by us. And then you say, well, we don't want that. We want the white people at the California Treasury Department to issue our checks and to verify it. Do you understand how that's schizophrenic and it's kind of contradictory in terms of the goal?
So I'll say this because again, I'm on board with what she stated. I agree with the protectionist angle that she presented, but I'll say this. I think it could be a very relatively streamlined board, a bureau that is tasked with performing the lineage verification. And they have a budget to do that part. And they have a budget to ensure that the people who get the money are the people who should get the money. Everything outside of that, and this is going to be my personal opinion, I believe takes away from the people in the state of California if you set up a bureaucracy that requires millions of dollars to operate on an annual basis. In other words, this is why I asked her about a single pie or single pizza or multiple pizzas. In effect, if they're going to set up a bureaucracy that requires millions of dollars to operate, why wouldn't that money just go to the people that were harmed? That's the question that I have for it. I know I'm not going to get a straight answer because I understand what they're doing, but I just see it as, why doesn't the money go directly to the people so that the people who are harmed can do what they feel is right with their own money?
Yeah, well, the directly part is the thing that no one really gets into the details of. Because you just said, well, to do that, well, I don't mind if the Bureau does the lineage part and then the California Treasury Department, whatever, cuts the check. Now, that would still require the Bureau. And if we know what the Freedmen's Bureau original functions were, they did things like lineage tracing and reuniting families. That's the same type of job you would need to do to know and trace lineages to make sure people are actually qualified. But let me say this. The agency, the Freedmen's Bureau agency, should be the agency that verifies the lineage and does a bunch of other things in terms of protecting our status. Now, when you ask about why can't we just, again, do it directly, say, through the Treasury Department, the thing you also have to think about is how money actually works and how a bill would get passed beyond going from the July 31st deadline of this year, where they'll finish the final report, and then their job is now to then create a new bill that will be passed by the state legislatures in California. And that legislation needs to include appropriation money for the reparations and all the other things that they're going to pass. In that appropriation, in that legislation, something that has to be done is deciding how the money will be passed out. And an important part in understanding this, like Newstoter and DJ kind of spoke to this earlier, think about how money actually works and how things will need to get passed. Most likely, this will need to be done by bonds as well in California. Relying solely on tax revenue is just not the best idea. So not only will bonds need to be issued, but states are also capable of creating state-owned banks, like a state-owned Freedmen Bank, and that's one of the recommendations as well. Now, when you think about how money will need to be California people, and then even on the federal level, we can all agree that not all 42 million or even not all 2 million people in California will get their checks on the first day, no matter how the legislation is done, right? So when you understand that, you understand the money is going to be sitting somewhere, and the question is, where would that money be sitting, right? And understand how money works, you have to ask yourself, do I want billions or perhaps trillions of dollars sitting in white institutions, gathering interest, paying white people for our enslavement, right? Or do I want that money in a government-owned institution solely for us and by us, where as the eligible group, us, apply for our reparations, that money is passed out on that basis until the money is exhausted, right? If you understand that, that is crucial to understanding why we need these institutions as well. So I hope that clarifies it. And if I would just follow up by asking, if you don't want that in our own money in our own institutions, where will that money be gathered? Where will trillions of dollars be gathered interest, if not in our own institutions, while that money is being doled out to the LGBT+? Where will that money be? It's not that.
All right. Black, did you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, I want to say this real quick. So we, I have an historically black credit union in my town, and it was determined in a news report that they were required to keep their deposits in a white bank. So here is a historical black bank that could not, under federal regulation, keep their deposits. And then I posted a story about a bank in the Chicago area where the city government said, okay, here's a black bank. Let's throw $20 million into this institution to help them out. Well, it turned out that the cost of managing $20 million was so expensive that after a year they had to return the money back to the city. So what I would say to that is, if the money is appropriated in the California state budget and it comes out of the treasury, that it would be a budget line item that has massive protections around it so that they can't strip it ever, but that the money would sit in wherever the state keeps their money. And I don't know where that's at in the state of California, but I'm sure in every state they have a different setup. But as a government, you don't have to worry about the money being insured by the FDIC because it's sitting in a government entity.
The government entities are insured. It would make any sense to have a government.
Hey, Prince, can you speak up a little bit louder?
Yeah. So having a government institution is still FDIC insured. Why would you have a government bank that's not FDIC insured? That doesn't make any sense.
All right, real quick, let me go ahead because I see we got daughter Zion up here, so let me get to her real quick. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, thank you. Good evening, host. Thank you for the space. And I've been listening for a little while. And, I'm in California, so the thing I just think about with the California reparations now is the budget part. Because I'm not sure what the budget is for California. I mean, I thought I heard $300 billion a year or something. I don't know about that number, though. And so I'm just thinking about how offices are sometimes not funded for whatever reason. I mean, it could be political. I mean, there's offices and there's all this legislation, but we'll always hear, about how it doesn't have a budget. Well, it's not funded. And that's important. I mean, for it to do any good, anything, any office, it has to be funded. It's just not good. It's just going to sit there. And I'm just wondering what is going to be the budget? What would be the budget? Is that going to go to administrative cost? A bureau in California? Like Black was saying, the people need that money. Instead of funding another CBO or another organization, the money should go directly into people's pocket. And, the state can pay the people. And the same people that verify I-9, I don't know who verifies the I-9s in the government. It's some sort of office. I don't know the name of it. Somebody does it. It's a job done by federal employees. There's ways. It can be done. Nothing's perfect. There's always fraud somewhere. But I'm just saying there's something in place to verify who we are and to get us directly the cash, because that's the most important thing. I know policy is important, but even if we do get federal reparations, still there's going to be that whole thing about the funding and the regulation. We hear that all the time about deregulation and stuff. It's all politics. It's ridiculous. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll land my plane, is what I was saying Friday night. I just get really ticked off. Like, I'm sorry, Prince, but when, you're calling people schizophrenic, not personally, but I take that personal. That, okay, if we don't agree with you and say, yes, I'm going to call my name Freedmen, or if I'm asking all these questions, I'm schizophrenic. I mean, every time, I said there Friday night, that a Freedman gets on the stage, they want to call somebody something or argue or yell or try to force us to do this. I don't do that when I go in a room. I don't tell people, you've got to be ADOS. I mean, that's getting old. I mean, it's really annoying. But thank you for the space. I'll land my plane.
All right, thank you. Let me go ahead and go real quick to Miss T. Miss T, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, I just wanted to state that in the Jumbotron, I did put AB 3121 up there, and the very first page states that they are aware that dollar figures are floating around out there, but there have not been any dollar amounts quoted. So again, if we just read the bill, we can answer our own questions. Thank you, Newstoter.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and go to Prince. Prince, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm in California too, so I guess there's a question.
Hey, Prince, is it any way that you can crank your volume up just a little bit?
Yeah, I'll see if I can do it. Yeah, so basically, think about this when you were asking about, you said the I-9, for example, daughter. The I-9 and all those documents, that's like IRS documents. You know what I mean? So if we're talking, again, just about California, the IRS is not going to be able to do that because California does not control the IRS. Secondly, if you're thinking on the federal level, and you're saying you want the IRS to do lineage verification and you want them to send out the checks, then the question again that I asked earlier, and which I said why is schizophrenic and contradictory, is how can you be okay with that, but then you critique having our own institutions, and I'm not saying we direct it, but people critique having our own Freedmen's Bureau and our own Freedmen Bank ran by us for us. They critique that, right? And then they say, well, we don't want those things because white people will be running it. So how do you square that with having white people at the IRS verifying lineages and all of that? That's again what I'm talking about. Can you square that for me?
I said the federal government has employees. I am not pretending like I know what office is called what or who verifies what. You can say it's the IRS, whatever. It's an office by the federal government, staffed by the federal government, paid. There's people there doing jobs, working to do stuff. That's my point. It's just my point. Okay, so what? They're white. I mean, there's black people that work for the government too.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Like it's like, oh well, they're white.
So they have to be.
You're okay with them being
black.
white? You're okay with white people?
So you need somebody black to sign your check.
I would prefer that, and I think most people would. So
okay, but I'm not going to wait. Why do we have to wait for that? Why would anybody have to wait for that?
Wait for what?
Why is it a stipulation? It doesn't have to be a stipulation.
Someone's going to do it, and it should be us. Part of the definition of reparation is satisfaction, which means that the group should be satisfied. And part of it, that satisfaction, we all know that people make this complaint today. Oh, with the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank that were ran by white people, it's going to happen again, and we're afraid of that. When we're saying that we can actually have a Freedmen's Bureau and banks ran solely by us, for us, and that would be the solution. Therefore, not only can our verification of our lineage be done by people like us that actually qualify for the reparations, but also the money can be doled out in that way. What's wrong with that?
I don't have any issue with a federal bureau run by the government down the road somewhere, just like there's a Bureau of Indian Affairs that advocates for those tribes, different tribes, a lot of them, and it advocates for them. However it's run by the federal government. That's my point. So it's fine. Down the road, run by the federal government. I'm talking about California right now in the limited budget. And the people should get that money in their pocket. It shouldn't be steered there and there and there to fund organization, to fund this, to fund an office, to fund. Because that seems to be where money goes. Administrative costs and funding something. Always funding, but never getting quite to the people that need it is my point. And no, I don't care what
that's like saying that even if the Treasury Department, like you say, just in California, they would still require funding to process the lineage-based verifications. All of this would still require funding. The question is, who will get the funding? Which agency will get the funding? Is it going to be a white grand organization or organization for us? Because no matter what, someone is going to be processing and getting paid, and some agency is going to get funded to do that work.
I'm not opposed to a federal agency. Like I said, I'm just talking
I said
about
also on the
California.
state level. It includes the state level. On the state level, someone has to do it. And I just had a conversation with Black Majority about this. Who is going to do it even on the state level? If you say you don't want it to be the Freedmen's Bureau and the bank on the state level, then there's going to still be some agency of California that does it. And it's going to be mainly white people. So again, and they're going to be the ones getting the funding to verify the lineages and to pass out the money still. So again, in California, they just voted on having the California Freedmen's Bureau, and they also have a proposal for a bank. We can have that ran by us for us in California to do that work.
I'm aware of what happened. I was there. I'm just saying that the money can be given out by a system that's already in place. It can be done, and the people can benefit from that. The actual citizens, us, the people. And that's my point. I land my plane.
So you're okay.
It still has to be funded.
Right. It still has to be funded, and you're okay with white people basically verifying the that's kind of reparations.
I don't care who verifies it. I really don't.
I would say most people in this room would probably disagree with that.
Well, that's fine, but I don't care who verifies who I am. Not right now, I don't.
All righty. Thank you, guys. DJ, I know you had your hand up for a minute. You want to go ahead and say something? I guess we'll be closing the space out in just a second. So you want to go ahead and say something, DJ? DJ, are you there? He may be in the matrix himself. I'm not sure if it, because his hand was up for a minute, so I'm not even sure if DJ's I'll give him just a second and see, because he may actually be caught up in the matrix itself. DJ, are you there? Yeah, I think he may be oh, you there, DJ?
Yeah, my bad. I'm hearing shit. I was actually on a phone call, but I've been listening to y'all the whole time and shit. You know, just got all these devices and shit. I can pick up the phone anyway. But hold up a minute. Let me turn the phone volume back up. Yeah, I'm actually in the matrix. I'm gonna have to drop down just to really hear y'all. But what's going on? Is she about to close it out? Yeah,
we ain't gonna go too much longer. We've been going about 3 hours. I'm trying to get people that want to come up here and speak real quick before we do close it out. But you know, I saw you had your hand up for a minute, so go ahead. 400. Did you want to speak any before we get ready to close it out?
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say, man, I appreciate you need to start out there for a minute. I don't really say much, but I appreciate the space. I listen at work when I'm at home, and to me, for the topic, the name don't matter. I mean, like I say, as long as you can trace your lineage, back to slavery, that's all that really matters. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just also want to say that we got a lot of great people, man, that come in those spaces. A lot of educators, a lot of just some everybody, man. I just think, we need to get away from like tearing each other down, and let's just focus on these reparations, getting it for our grandparents, our parents, our children, our grandchildren. Like, I mean, it's just so much I want to say. I just wanted to say that, but man, I appreciate y'all. And if I'm in the space, I'm gonna give what I can. I'm here to listen. And also Newstoter. I'm in Florida, man. So how can we get something popping in Florida like they got in California? And I land right now.
That's real too, because we don't have anything. We down here with the rednecks too. So we definitely, that's the next step. We need to have our own reparation task force down here as well too. 400. So it may be a little bit tougher down here in Florida because we down here with the good old boys. And I know people think that Florida is just beaches and Walt Disney World, but that ain't the case. But you're right, that's something that I've been thinking about too as well. Like, how can we start to get something like that popping? Because really, in a lot of places in the Deep South, you still don't have, when you talk about reparations, that's kind of really taboo at this point in time right here. People don't really want to hear that. They really don't want to discuss it as well too. So 400, you're right, man. And this is the first time you came up, man. You always supporting the platform. So I just want to give you a shout out on that as well too, because you're always in the spaces, you donate and everything else. So I just want to give you a shout out for that as well too, brother. So I definitely, when you're in the space, I try to give you a shout out when you go ahead, and anybody that's in here. I know some of our people they don't like Black majority. When he donates, Black don't really want you to make it public, which I can respect that as well too. But I just try to give people, just let them know that I'm thinking about them and I appreciate them. That's why I just give people the shout out while the spaces is going. And sometimes people donate, when the spaces are not during the day, and I try to send out a tweet just thanking the people like that. So if you guys don't want your name, your username or whatever put up there, I understand. You can DM me and let me know. But I just want to thank you that, hey, for the fact that you just, going ahead and just trying to support us and look out. I just want to give you a shout out and this and that. So I definitely thank everybody that does that. And 400, you're right, man. Like I told DJ, like we're going to start trying to actually reach out with some of our college folks here in Florida and start trying to see if we can start getting some grassroots things going on some of these university campuses as well too. Because let's not forget, y'all, that a lot of the stuff that took place with the civil rights movement and everything else, a lot of the time, a lot of our parents, they actually got that stuff going. Them and some of their siblings and the people in their community actually got a lot of stuff going on those actual college campuses as well too, and stuff like that as well too. So I think that's the next big thing, is trying to actually extend the invitation to our people out there on the college campuses and stuff like that, because they are the future generations. They are the future leaders. So we need to go ahead and try to go ahead and work with them as much as possible. But you're right, man. We here in Florida, Florida and California always got compared just because of the actual environments and everything like that. But in terms of the actual policies that govern both states, we can't be any further away in terms of how things are viewed and whatnot. They're very liberal, and we've always been pretty much on the conservative side and whatnot as well too. But we definitely need to go ahead and start trying to get some of this stuff started here, and not only in Florida but in all of these southern states, which is not going to be easy, mind you. Start trying to get some reparation task force created here in some of these southern states, because like I said, that's not going to be easy, y'all. I could just sit up here and tell you that, but it will be a lot of pushback against that. But nonetheless, that's something that we need to try to do. So shout out to you, 400. I'm glad that you did come up here as well too, bro. Like I said, I know you always chill in the space. You don't say nothing. A lot of our people just chill. They don't say nothing, but you guys are definitely appreciated. That's why I always try to give a shout out to our listeners up in the space as well too. So let's see if Texter, you want to say anything? Because like I said, we're going to try to close it out in a little bit, man. We want to go ahead. We will definitely be back tomorrow night. I got a couple topics in mind I want to talk about. I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes it just depends on what content is out there coming off of the actual site before I actually decide, like, hey, this may be a good topic to form a room around and try to create some dialogue on. So Texas, anything that you want to say real quick?
Well, very quickly, brother, thanks for the space. I just got here. I apologize for that. I will just say, if politicians don't know your name and what you want, then you ain't doing politics.
That's real. I mean, hey, that's true there. Can't argue with that. So you got to constantly push it out there, but that's true as well too. So DJ, so you got your hand back up?
No, I was saying if you ain't real ready to take it down, I can play some bits and we can reset the room, but it's up to you though.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and start one because I got a couple things I need to run up real quick and do and whatnot. But definitely go ahead and you start your space up as well too. And I'm sure we'll have a number of our people come over there as well as always. Miss T, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, I just want to piggyback off what 400 said. Thank you so much for this space, and thank you for handling that troll earlier. I think we need to do that more often in our spaces. Just when you see that snake, just chop that head off that snake immediately before it takes the space totally away from what you originally planned for it to be. So I do thank you for that. In Georgia, we do have a couple of different task force reparations. We do in Fulton County, which encompasses Atlanta, and then actually April, I'm supposed to be there, GC, Montana. We're all meeting tonight to discuss reparations task force here. So we're doing for the state of Georgia. So we are definitely doing that. And I want to thank everybody for their contributions and encourage everybody to read YouTube. All of those townhomes are on YouTube. So you can see, you can catch up, and you can, if you have a question, you can send a question to someone and get the answer from someone that's directly on the task force for yourself, instead of listening to these people that are gaslighting you and making you angry because they're spilling information that's not even true. And again, Newstoter, thank you so much for being you. I appreciate you, and I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you, sister. And you're right. That other sister tonight, I don't know what she was talking about. I think she just came for the point of being argumentative, and she's sitting up here because she left a comment. I got to read this comment real quick, y'all. Let me find this comment real quick that this sister put. Oh, hold on.
She traffic gang, bro. That's why.
She talking about American is not a nationality. Shaking my head. Black is not a nationality, nor is African American. So being American, that's not your nationality. You can't make this stuff up. So being American, that's not a nationality. Sweet Jesus, like.
That's why you tell the gang, shorty.
Oh my gosh, he came up in here talking about evil. I'm like, what are you talking about, lady? Like, you trying to go ahead and be like decent and let people go ahead and get their point across, and then she just came in here. So basically you're saying that we shouldn't even try to get reparations because we don't know our nationality. Okay, fine. That tonight we wasn't just even trying to hear that kind of stuff, but that unfortunately you got people that come up in these spaces, they have nothing to offer to it, and she was she just came in here just to start some stuff up. A. Rogers says she was highly misinformed, not trolling. I beg to disagree. She was highly misinformed, and she came in here with the idea to troll as well too. Because we saw one of her posts, cognitive share with her and stuff like that. That was her whole idea, was to come up here and talk about this space and how she and basically she came in here with the mindset that she was gonna come in here and she was gonna troll. So yeah, she definitely had that mindset coming in here to troll. So unfortunately for her, it didn't work out. Wish the sister the best of luck and everything to go along with her. But you know, everybody in here, and you can disagree with how things should be handled, but pretty much everybody is in the agreement that, hey, we know that we are the descendants of slaves and we're entitled to reparations and all the other stuff that you're talking about. To me, you're just really trying to push the goalposts back further, and you don't really want to see people get it. So I bet if we would include everybody, whatever, she wouldn't have a problem with that. So that pretty much, like DJ was saying, that seemed to be her whole motive right there. She's talking about all this other stuff that means not a bit of damn difference. You got people that was here before the damn country was founded, built the colonial America, then built the United States of America, and you sitting up here talking about defining your nationality and who you are and this and everything everything that we label ourselves in this world is a construct of man. Your name, the country you live in, the city you live in, the home you live in, the car you drive, everything, the tribe. At one time, somebody had to name a tribe, they had to name a river or ocean, a tree. So everything is a construct. So knock it off, lady. This is real.
She said Ibu. She went all the way back.
And you had Ibu that came over here, like I tried to tell this woman, and they came over here. You had all kind of tribes. You had people speaking Bantu and everything else. And once they started cracking their whip on their ass, they started speaking English. Like, so let's stop it. Let's just stop the nonsense here, man.
What's your name, boy? Come with the Toby.
Yeah, I don't think it would have took me that many licks before I would have went ahead and hey, after that first couple, like, hey, you say it's Toby, I say it's Toby. Hey, man, on that note, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna end the space for tonight. So thank y'all. Catch us tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hold on, y'all, real quick. We got somebody that's coming up here trying to speak. I'll go ahead and I'll see who. Real Mad Max.
Real Mad Max about to speak some real bad facts real fast, right? Because I can't relax right now.
Okay, I can already tell that this is gonna be like. I can already tell this is gonna be like a trolling point. But let's go ahead and we'll play along. Real Mad Max, what you got to say now?
You want to play along, or you want me to sing another song, or you want me to rap around about it, or you want me to run one more time about it? How fast do you want me to get? How quick do you want me to quit?
go ahead and shut me down like you did because you can mute about it because I'm unmutable. Because you can't unfold about it because I'm unfoldable. So go ahead and try and fold me because you'll find out that I'm unfoldable. Or go ahead and unfold me because you'll find out I'm unfoldable. So go ahead and do like you would.
Oh my God.
Like we got the joke because we can't do it because we got through it. The new style. This is easy thing. The new style. 3 mile, 1 mile, 8 mile.
We got us Eminem. Hey y'all, we got Eminem up in the spot. It was after they came out with that Billboard list, so we got Eminem up in the house. Eminem, you got that top 5 rating of all time. So go ahead and talk, Eminem. Go ahead.
You want me to Eminem about it?
You
I can't really begin about it. Like you want me to write another rhyme about it?
You've been practicing this in the mirror all day.
Oh yeah, no, I wrote it yesterday.
His rhymes are garbage though.
I wrote it a while ago. That's not no baggage about it. Let's get no bars about it.
That 3rd grade rhyme that you got, that 3rd grade rhyme pattern.
Rap about why your ancestors owe us reparations.
Keep a freestyle out, yo.
Crickets.
Oh, crickets.
Yeah.
We're rap battling in the new tattoo shop because you can't be handling the fact that I already shopped it through, right? So you want to know my history, right? Let's get genetic through it, right? Because you can't re-generate this, right? So let's Bill Gates about it. If you want to get genetic about it, I can speak sick about it because I'm spitting venom about it. So let's get think about it because that big.
Hey, but they want to hear you freestyle about your people owing us reparations. So bust that freestyle. If you could truly freestyle, bust that one there real quick for us.
Let me get a sip of water. This is about to come out like I wasn't real quick because I didn't freestyle this because I don't know because like there ain't a B on the symbol of this tattoo shop that I'm standing in because I understand what I'm standing in. So go ahead and ask me a question about it.
Ain't no question.
Ain't no question. I thought you was gonna bust a freestyle about the reparations for black folks.
Hold up, mic checking. Why you come up here disrespecting? I ought to come off my motherfucking mic and hit you in your neck in. Mortal Kombat, this a fatality. Shout out to my boy Young Z. We be wildin', B. We straight out of Jersey. Where you from, my knacker? We don't even know you, so why you playing no roll over tether knacker? More like a cracker knacker, can't rhyme for shit. Cracker knacker, like I don't speak through factors, like you can't understand the tabernacle, like I don't know who the true tribe of Judah is.
Hey, you messed up the freestyle, man. Come on. You came off your mic.
Check it out. Keep it reading. I said if knowledge is power and age is wisdom, I got the heart of a lion with the speed of a stallion. So I'm an Aeon. Forged from Zion, now I'm back like Yasawada, king of Babylon, prophet the lyrical one, also a spiritual one, but don't get it twisted, son. Tell him I ain't the one. Murder now, then forgiveness later, then I'll do what I best to rid the earth of you haters. Imaginary plays, fun spectators, broke Diddy Bob rocking some fake ass gators. You so icy like Gucci, that's cool with me, D. Cause when the dog's hungry, I know who to see, B. Glock to your cotta, break bread quick, or it's out of your manana. Power of that dollar, but won't settle for half. I need the whole damn dollar. Lord of the lyrical scholar, snap quick cause I got the power. Nothing to do with a llama or a 9 to 5. Knock your ass out, now I'm a 5 to 9. First striker, cause I strike just on the cheaper variation of a street fighter. Now that's what's wrong with these niggas. Too pretty to get scarred is the reason you throw jabs with rap bars. Better with the hoes, cash, clothes, and cars. Just look at my iris. Magnified times 3, you can see the bounce. So I'm placing my finger, having trigger itis. My thoughts are mixed with octopus blood. Pen to papyrus. Them ABP boys are similar to I like it. So you idiotic as hell if you're trying to fight us. Spit venom like a scorpion and a viper. Now, bitch, get over here and let me put this dick in your head. In other words, fuck what you heard. Cause as shit hard as hell, nigga. That's word of God, nigga. You don't want no sauce. You don't want no sauce. Put your money up. Put your money up.
Let's see what he got to say about this one here. Let's see what he got to say real quick. What is it, man? Go ahead, Real Mad. Real Mad. What you got to say about that one? You got your hand up. You there, Real? He off of mute. Hey, take your hand up, take it off of mute, Real Mad, and go ahead and speak. Okay, I guess Real Mad done tapped out.
Damn, round 1. I'm Tyson up this moment.
Yeah, he done disconnected.
Talk to my nigga also. I want to get thanks to everybody that's already on the block of Chancellor and motherfucking Union Ave. Spiders gonna have niggas, you already know what it is. Rest in peace to my nigga Aki and shit. Rest in peace to Fatal, Gaddafi, you already know Outlaws. Word up, shout out to my outsider niggas. You already know, nigga, we get it. Fuck with my nigga Young Z, he on tour with Rod Digger right now. You're mad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he tapped out, but hey, that's as good as any way to go ahead and end this space for the night, y'all. So catch us. DJ, you say you doing a space tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna start one. I got some more bars for y'all asses.
All right. Well, y'all make sure y'all catch DJ Space. I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out for the night. So thank you to all the speakers, the co-hosts, the listeners, everybody who tweeted out the room. Thank you to my sister Rerod for donating. DJ, I know you donated as well too. So thank you for that as well too, y'all. So y'all have a good night, y'all. Make sure y'all catch us tomorrow. Make sure y'all have the notifications on. If you hadn't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Start sharing the videos out as well too, y'all. Subscribe to the newsletter. Make sure y'all sharing the content that we're putting out daily as well too, y'all. So peace to everybody. Y'all have a nice Sunday night, and we will see y'all tomorrow night. Okay.
Peace. Online, follow me in the other space. Peace.